right, everyone. Well, we have got a special guest with us today. We're going to be starting this. I'm calling it a series. We're calling it now. I am here with Egnards. If you've never met him, we're going to give him a chance to introduce himself. He is the GOAT of Swago Reddit. He's the biggest Swago Redditor. It's been a while since we've been on camera, man. So, Egg, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good. I'm a little bit toasty right now. I think you're giving me too much credit, and I don't know if it's a good thing to be the GOAT of Star Wars Galaxy Heroes Reddit. That makes me sound like I sit in my mom's basement. And I I don't even sit in my own basement because it's unfinished. But I'd like to think that I'm well adjusted.
Hey, man. No, it's all good. I sit in my basement. No shame in that. But so we've obviously talked a lot off air. Got a lot of news in, I mean, the past, what, 36 hours. It's just been like one post after another. A really, what I felt lackluster road ahead that then turned into, what, five different posts, six different posts. Like, what are your thoughts if we just start even with the kind of road ahead a little bit? What was your initial thoughts reading it, and then after everything else that has come out, how do you feel?
You know what's funny? I was teaching a class at a camp, and after I was done, I pulled up my phone, and you had messaged me on Discord a few times. So I had thought I was like, oh shit, like I guess information came out. Let me go check this out. And I read the road ahead, and I mean, there's information there, but there's like nothing there at the same time. So I read this road ahead, and I'm like, oh, okay, we already knew that. Who cares? This is like a serious letdown. And it's about a 20-minute drive home, and the entire drive home, I'm like, I was like, it's almost like Stockholm syndrome. I was like, actually, this is a good thing because I can hoard materials. I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to care. Like, I can do whatever I want for 5 months. It's no big deal. And then I got home and I got into the game and I saw like the news blasts in game and I saw the update notes and I saw the Datacron post and I was like, what? Like, what the hell is all of this stuff going on right now in the game? Like, this is actually really cool. Why was none of this in the road ahead?
Yep. Yeah, and even like, because when I did the road ahead, I like went right online because I was like, oh, road ahead's here. And I remember kind of blasting it in my video because I was like, there's nothing here. Like, it's literally just characters. That's all it was. A small little section about the PC client, which I don't know if you're on the PC client, but it is fantastic and it's amazing. Um, but then they had like this. I didn't even read it at the end because I just thought it was their sign off, and I was like, oh, fuck it. Like, I don't care. Oh, by the way, this is a not safe for work. Like, I should have put that earlier. But I was like, fuck it, I'm not reading this. And then everybody's like, what are your thoughts on Balin? And I'm like, what do you mean Balin? Like, Balin's not confirmed yet. And then you have to like come in the game and, oh, Balin's skull will be here. You're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. That for me, I'm on Arnold's server. I don't watch a lot of videos related to the game, but he tags everybody, and I saw he started a video like, "Oh, confirmed Balin," and I had already read the road ahead, and for the same thing, I was like, "What the hell is he talking about? What is this clickbait shit?" I
Yeah.
read the same post that he read, right? Like, what is this bullshit? And it's like it's literally two words in a
Yeah.
parentheses.
Yeah, including Balin right there. Like, that's it. Like,
Like as what? As a marquee? As a journey? Like is he a GL coming up? Is he a conquest character? With only this post, we have no idea.
yes. And I think that kind of leads into something that has really been a struggle. And this is not, by the way, like, I'm a Meathead fan, and I think Ed, you would say the same thing. Like, we are pro Meathead. Like, we think Meathead's awesome. And I don't think this is on him. Like, the way that information gets dispersed, I do not believe is up to him. I think he is the one that writes the posts and he interacts, but I do not think it's his decision on what gets included in XYZ posts. Is that something that you've kind of always felt too?
Yeah, when he first came onto the scene, I was like, he's really tone deaf, like he doesn't understand, and I was not very happy with him, and it wasn't anything really to do with the things he was saying, it was just the way that he was saying them. And in the last like 8 to 12 months, like I've talked to him, I've gone in his Twitch streams. I've warmed up to him a lot over this time and understanding where he's coming from. And I don't know if you have, or I'm sure some of your viewers have, there's this show on Apple TV, Mythic Quest, which is basically an MMO. It's kind of like The Office meets an MMO. And they have a community manager in the show, and she's kind of like relegated to the basement, and no one likes her, and no one tells her any information. And that's kind of Meathead's position, right? Like
Yeah.
he can only relay what is given to him, and then it probably goes through like 6 layers of approvals. I don't blame him for this. And when I talk about blame tonight, and I'm sure when you talk about blame tonight and the craziness of the news cycle, it's CG as a collective group rather than a singular person within that group.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's the classic like when I want to say that like, you know, Star Wars sucks right now, I'm really saying that Kathleen Kennedy sucks. Like, like
You got no argument here.
yeah, like you know, that's kind of the way that I've always felt with, you know, Meathead is that I do think he struggled initially, and I think he also came into a time when we were all kind of pissed off at the game, so it was not a it was not a good time to joke with us. And now like
Yeah.
he puts in the, you know, dev team in one laptop kind of stuff. Like that anytime he writes something, I get a kick out of something that's in there because he's kind of figured out and honed in on the jokes that we appreciate.
Yes, he you need to be part of the community before you make those jokes. And now he is part of that community. And now the jokes, people who understand him go, oh, actually that is funny. Like we get it now.
Yes. Yep. So I want to kind of scroll up in the road ahead. And the one thing that was very much missing, which I thought you would be like running for the hills about, was that there was no mention of Jar Jar. Right?
I've already
There
got
was
my R9 Jar Jar. I don't give a shit.
yeah, yeah. There is no mention of Jar Jar, but yet we did just get a what is it here? Yeah, we just got this what today that we're gonna get
Like
August
45
5th.
minutes ago.
Yeah, August 5th to August 12th. Like what? This goes back to the whole road ahead. That like why was this not included inside of that? And who, you know, is that was this backlash from the crap we forgot to put Jar Jar in the road ahead, or were they trying to like I did not understand why these dates were not included in inside that road ahead.
I think, so yesterday I sent it to you and I did it on Reddit and people loved it. I kind of compiled all of this into a singular post and I was like, hey, this is the real road ahead, right? Like all of the information. And when I was doing that, I was trying to think like, is this really road ahead material or is this really update material? And I think what it comes down to is two things. One, the road ahead is supposed to be about things that are not currently in game that are coming up, right? Or coming up long term. And I just think it was not smart of them to release the road ahead the same day they were releasing updates because when that happens you get a confusing news cycle of like wait this then that and I have to reach all of these different sources in order to get any cohesive news.
Yes. Yeah, it felt very like there was the so this was the update. Yes, this was yesterday, right? So there's a bunch of updates that happened. And then hold on, what was the other one? Because there was that update. We got the Datacrons, and we got Naboo Raid,
Which was
right?
just an aside in the update notes. It was like, oh, by the way, Naboo is live.
And then we also got the GL Ahsoka. Like there was like there was a bunch of posts yesterday. I mean I have like a bunch of tabs open here, and it's insane. And it felt like to me, it you almost don't need the road ahead. You could just say, hey, here's the upcoming characters, because that's basically all this road ahead was
Yes.
Imperial Remnant characters, which again, big fan of. Like they deserve the credit that like that is awesome. And by the way, can we just talk about how fucking sick Death Trooper looks? Like that is an
Yes.
un
Yeah.
that is so cool. Like that's whale material right there. No, like
Well, are you in a whale on him?
no. No,
I burned my whole horde on Jar Jar. I'm still catching up. I think he's got cool animations. You know, you got like these really cool like zombie like animations. It reminds you of like a Shambler or like The Walking Dead or like Night of the Living Dead. I'm probably just gonna throw him with my Night Sisters for now because I don't plan on whaling on that entire team, and I
yeah.
think he'll work fine there, but not perfectly. And we'll see what happens. But it's a cool thought and it's a cool idea for a character.
I was actually thinking of putting him with Imperial Remnants and then giving like Death Trooper back to Iden.
Well, that's the smart thing to do because you play GAC and you're in Kyber 1 and you have Dark Trooper Moff Gideon like geared up. Mine's still sitting at G12. He's got a while now with the raid and with Ahsoka and all this crap coming.
Well, I you to counteract your point, I still have to gear Jar Jar. I've got L3 in my Gungan team right now. Like, um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it really was like you got the Great Mothers then Morgan, and then I will say this: I want to give them before we get into Ezra there at the end. They do deserve credit here that again the Lightspeed bundles that they released have kind of made sense. That
Yes.
they released the Separatist bundles, the General Skywalker bundles, who like we'll get into why the General Skywalker bundle is as important as it is, but the Night Sister bundle, and then they released this team of Great Mothers, Morgan Elsbeth, with these characters that are leftover Night Sisters. So I want to give them credit that one of the things they've really done recently is pushing people to invest in these new things, like the Gungans and Jedi Knight Cal, and giving us those Lightspeed bundles for what I think was it $10 for the Night Sisters or was it 20, whatever it
I think
was.
the Night Sisters was 10, and then the newest one was 20. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, and so what I like about this is that it's continuing this trend of we want you to have these brand new things. So we're going to take away a lot of the pain along with these characters. And to give credit, there's no Zetas on Talia, Night Sister Spirit, or Acolyte. So for anybody in
Yeah,
a
the elder
big,
ones.
yeah, like there's no Zetas on those characters. So if you're in a Zeta crunch, those three are like amazing for you. But so I did want to mention that. I want to give them credit where it's due for that. That I think that's good. But then, and I don't know if you were thinking this, but when we got this Ezra Conquest character, did this kind of feel like he's a GL Ahsoka lifter and we're going to get kind of that Lord Vader, Jedi Master Kenobi, Galactic Legend where not full potential yet?
You know, it's strange because when, I mean, yes, right? Like when JMK came to the game, JMK came out, and then Cat was, I don't want to say released, but Cat was farmable or um, activatable about a month later.
Yes.
And then the same thing kind of with Lord Vader and Maul. So you did have to feel this position of playing the character without them, and then once you got them, you're like, oh, actually, they're really good. With this character, with Ahsoka, and then with Ezra, and with them saying, hey, Ahsoka is coming towards the end of the year, which, by the way, I don't even think is in the road ahead. I think Meathead just happened to say that somewhere. Um, and Ezra, I believe the date is like November 11th or November 12th if we follow a normal conquest cycle. We're probably getting them at roughly the same time. So we're not going to really have a timeline where where you're seeing Ahsoka without him. And I feel like her kit is going to be tied to that to some degree. And it's almost going to be like integral to the kit versus like a lifter to the kit, right? Like, I don't think the team is going to work without Ezra.
I would probably agree with you. And I think that I mean, if that's the case, right? It probably comes back to if you're below I mean, you can't even say 4 million, right? Because 4 million is your gate to like hard mode, but you've got to
Yeah.
be able to actually earn enough shards of of Ahsoka between the pass and conquest. So if you can't get like box 5 or above, it's probably not worth you even trying to get her, right? Is that
I think this is going to be a more mid to end game character, and I swear to God, man, like if you start telling people to get Ahsoka early, our bromance is over. Like we're done because we only have 1/4 of the requirements, and there's already one R9, and it's not a hard R9. Most of us have her at R5 already, um, but
and there's an
I think
R8.
we're going to get at least one more R9 in there. Yeah,
But
you
there's
have
also
gas at R8 too, but gas wasn't gas R8 for Lord Vader, so like it's a freebie for like
oh,
veteran players.
well, yeah, but I was going to show this as kind of like the so I don't know that you get to see my screen, but if you go to the like player data on Swago
Hmm.
and you go to relic like the most common relic 8s, so there are 90,000 General Skywalkers at relic 8, but to put that in perspective, there's 146 Boba Fett. So
Well,
there's 56,000 is that's a significant number of the player base that have, and I'm going off of like Executor, that have Boba Fett, then have
yeah,
General Skywalker there.
yes.
So
I think that this is not going to be an early GL. I do think that Ahsoka is going to be, we talk about like Rey and the Lightspeed bundles, and when people get Lightspeed bundles, you go, yeah, get Rey early just because you paid $10. But I think she's going to be like, if I were to start an account tomorrow, she's like your fifth GL or your sixth GL, because it is going to be harder to get her shit.
yeah, I would agree with that. Because she's still going to be good enough to warrant you getting her sooner rather than later, but not the requirements are steep enough that it doesn't make sense to do it before other things.
Yeah. And I already have people messaging. Like I woke up to Discord messages today, like, "Hey, Egg, you did a roster review for me like 3 weeks ago. Does it make sense for me to pivot to GL Ahsoka?" And then I'll look at their GG and I'll be like, "You have one GL and no fleet. You need to do other things." "Oh, but I really want her." "Then do it." "I don't know. I don't care." Like, if you want to do it, then do it. But like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, oh, that's by, I mean, if we quick sidebar into, because that's exactly what this is going to end up being the whole time. But like, my favorite thing in any roster review is when I tell somebody something they don't want to hear. Like they like it
Yeah.
just. I will not tell you the popular shit. I will tell you what I think, and what I think is often not popular with the community at large because I'll tell you to do stuff that's not fun.
I like to do things, I don't know how you do your roster reviews. I have a whole survey that I have people fill out. It only takes like 5 minutes. It's not that it's long, but it's just that like I want to get a sense of how you are as a player. So I have no problem telling people, yeah, I mean, sure, go for Lord Vader if you want to, if that's what you want to do. But I will straight up tell you, hey, that's not what I would do. Here's what I would do. But if you're hard set on something, then sure, do that. Because if it's fun for you, fine. What am I to say?
Sorry, I had to pour a fresh soda, if you will. Um, no, yeah, like so like my like hot take is always that Sith Eternal should be your last Galactic Legend or one of your
I
last
think he's
ones.
my first. I'll fight you. I don't.
Oh, yeah,
I will fight you on that.
I would see. I would put him last or towards the end because you can get so many other things to back into his Rex. And I know that the other side to that, which I'm sure your head goes to, is oh, but he builds you towards so much stuff. But the things that you end up building for him that get used later don't serve you a purpose without other things. Like Count Dooku doesn't serve you a purpose. Sidious doesn't.
Correct.
Maul doesn't. Royal Guard doesn't. I mean, Krennic,
I
you know.
think, I've had this conversation with other content creators, and we've probably had a similar discussion on Discord over the last couple of months. But I think that as someone who has almost a 12 million account, I don't know your exact GP. Mine's 11.8, whatever it is, 11.1. So you're close to me. I don't play a free to play account. I don't play a second account. I don't understand people who have time to play a second account. But I always try to think of what the game looks like from a lower end, right? So when we talk about someone going for their first GL and people go, oh, well, like C sucks at GAC. Not when you're 2 million. You know, when you're 2, 3 million GP, you're not fighting against JMK with Cat. Those aren't things that you're seeing, and if you are seeing them, that's because that player hates GAC and has 12 million GP, and you're going to lose to them anyway.
Yeah, like, I could put zero GLs on defense and it won't matter. Like, no, yeah, I think my argument against Sith Eternal more so is in PVE content, like your conquest, territory battles. He kind of needs that help because like conquest was is a big part of how I weight characters, and I find
Yeah.
him to be the least useful Galactic Legend for conquest.
C is actually very good in Conquest. I don't personally use C a lot because I have so many other tools that are better.
Yeah,
But C does really well. The only problem with him is that he does need specific data disks. And you have to go in with under gear. You have to go undermanned. You have to do your C Watt. So if you don't have Watt, you're going to have a problem. Or C Armorer. If you go in full team, you're going to one star everything. So
yeah,
he does well, but you have to have specific strategies for it.
yeah. Maybe my better way of saying that is that he's not good if you want to be efficient, but he is probably one of the better GLs in terms of like you're trying to beat proving grounds. If you can get your lightning off, you're probably going to win.
This is why I like C because he builds into 3 assault battles. He does great in GAC when you're not talking about walls of GLs. And, you know, he does very well at Proving Grounds. And you might not gear up 8 Proving Grounds characters at once, but it's nice to know you have access to that and their shards are finished.
See, I like Jabba first because I
I,
your first thing you build is in my opinion should be executor. So you
yes.
kind of build into your executor, you get Jabba, and then you go between whatever combination you want of JML Leia, and you've kind of built on all of these wrecks at once because they share so much together. Because you got Jedi Knight Luke sharing between Jabba and JML, and then Leia borrows a lot of those other characters between them. Um,
Yes, I tell people I mean, look, when we do reviews, right, we're not talking about vacuum accounts. We're talking about accounts that are already established. So it's
yeah,
very rare that I recommend C because I'm looking at an account that already has 3 million and already has things in different ways. But my ideal, if I were to start an account tomorrow, and not necessarily to rush towards things, I would do Executor C JML Jabba. And I think that JML and Jabba are both equally weighted, where I could make a case either way. If you wanted to go Jabba first for the mods, I'd say great, that's awesome. I'd prefer to go JML first to build those other 2 assault battles and to also get some more conquest dominance.
see, I don't rate assault battles that much.
Oh my God, Kyrotech, man. CT1 is the only important one, I think, especially early on. But that's a monthly ROI, and you're an accountant. Like
But
this is like interest.
but so that's the thing though that like I can't just everybody justifies it by saying assault battles, but like getting to CT1, you can do that with like gear 12s.
You can do that, but when you're already there, the relic material, I have never, and I know I'm at 12 million now, right? And I'm not a top tier account, but I am someone who's at the point in the game where I'm always going for the new thing now. That's very recent. That's within the last year. I played very, very, very casually for like 2.5 years, and I had to claw myself to the top. So getting Ray was a chore for me. Getting JML was a huge chore for me. And a lot of newer players that probably listen to you, they don't understand how much harder those first couple of GLs were because we did not have all of the tools that we have now
Oh,
to build those things. Um, those things make like I've never felt limited by signal data when it comes to a large farm. It's always the G12 gear, it's always the Chirotech, and it's not so much the finishers anymore, but that's only because I have such assault battle viability that I'm just swimming in those.
See, I got through so many of them with like low gears, like I was doing CT1 for almost all of them, and like I only recently got and I don't know if you saw this. I only recently got through the Night Sister one on tier 3 with.
Oh, so that was you sent me that screenshot. Yeah, yeah, but you didn't tell me
Yeah.
that was your team.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that was my like 3 gear 12s, a relic 2 and a relic 5 got through CT3.
Oh, I,
Um
I quote you on Brunch with Egnards all the time. I'm like, look, see, Phil sent me this,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I didn't realize that was your account.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like it's so great that I didn't get that bundle so people could believe that it's possible. But that's kind of
Yeah,
why I don't say discount assault battles, but I hate justifying a big farm with them when there's a lot of things you can do with gear 12s to complete. Like I could do
absolutely.
C you can do like challenge tier 2 with gear 12 Sith Triumvirate of the
Absolutely. I mean,
pieces of power.
challenge tier
And that,
2, places of power, I had my only G12s were Doku and Nihilus. The other
yeah,
ones were G9. It takes a long time, but I did it.
but yeah, and that's why I don't justify farming with those assault battles. When people talk about relics, like if you do a relic 7 to beat an assault battle, you're never actually getting a true return because you don't earn Zimbadal cards in assault battles.
Well, it depends. And this is, see, we were like, hey, we're going to only talk about the road ahead tonight and all this stuff, but it depends. So that's why I talk about, I know there's 8 assault battles now, right, with Duel of the Fates, and they can go fuck themselves, but out of the 8 assault battles, there's only 5 of them that I feel have a strong ROI, right? Fanatical Devotion does not have a strong ROI. Secrets in Shadow, it's getting better now with Marin, now with Captain Rex. And Duel of Fates, again, can go fuck itself. The other 5, because those characters are so strong in other game modes, the ROI is just like an additional extra, like it's an extra thing you get. And the teams do so much work in other game modes that it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I so because I view like fanatical devotion, which is the Inquisitors. Like to me, that assault battle is a bonus for building Grand Inquisitor and Riva.
Yes,
It's
you
it's
worry about that when your guild begs you to get Grand Inquisitor.
yeah, I
Absolutely.
oh so I always say it's the you get Grand Inquisitor the sooner of unlocking Scythe or your guild's doing going for Riva. That
Yeah.
the
Once your guild is like, hey, we're doing Reva, that you go, okay, now it's Inquisitor time.
yes. Yeah. But so it's funny you mentioned Duel of the Fates because I want to talk about this. So I know you have some very strong opinions on this Duel of the Fates
Very strong opinions.
disaster class. So I'm going to get mine out and then I'm going to let you just fucking rip at it. So here's here's my thought. What pissed me off the most was that you could bring OG Qui-Gon Jinn as a character, but then the other option was Padawan Obi-Wan. Like it just felt like either make it both Master Qui-Gon and Padawan Obi-Wan only, or like make up your mind. You know, it felt
Yeah.
very cheap that you're gonna
It
let me
does seem
use.
tacked on.
Yeah, like it doesn't fit, right? Like I mean, you have like Qui Gon arguably is the only character where we have two versions of the same fucking person.
Hmm.
Because like
He is.
Stormtrooper
And
Han,
that unlocks a lot. Yes.
yeah, like Stormtrooper Han, Han Solo, Captain Han, Veteran Han, Young Han, they're all separate characters from, different costumes, whatever you want to call it. Like, but Qui Gon, it's literally the same person from, like, yeah. I just
It's a different costume, but it's fundamentally the same. So like the only other one really in the game is Stormtrooper Han and Han Solo. They're both from not Phantom Menace, from A New Hope. People are gonna kill me. I'm canceled. They're both from the same movie, but they're fundamentally distinct points of the movie where you have fundamentally different versions of the character. And you also have to remember, in 2015 when the game came out, they were looking for low budget, um low resource characters to put in so that they could sell us cooler characters later. And that's what happens in any gotcha style game. This is now 8 years on. Master Qui-Gon coming to the game is a pretty big deal because it's really the first time they said, yeah, whatever. I don't know.
yeah. Here's it. Yeah, it and that's kind of and that's why I kind of felt like the Duel of Fates was a bit of a, I don't want to say slap in the face, because I think overall it's a great idea to, with the increase to the reward structure. Again, I think it's reinforcing that they are, how do I say this? I think they've recognized that we will not invest in Relic 9 without a reason. And
Yeah.
so I think that's what Duel of the Fates is doing. But it does feel
Yes.
cheap to include OG Qui-Gon. I'm going to let you take it away and just fucking rip, man. Go for it.
Oh my God, there's a lot, but I do agree with you. So we're 2 years into having Relic 9 at this point, and it hasn't seen mass adoption, and we're just now seeing a lot of instances where they're trying to induct into the game, right? ROTE, you have operations that need R9. We're seeing more things that need R9s from the Galactic Legends, Ahsoka Tano. We need Snips to be R9. We're also seeing kits now, right? Like Jar Jar, where you specifically need R9 in order to maximize the kit. So they're really trying to push it to us now. And this is like the first bone that they're throwing us in terms of giving us more R9 materials. My problem with it is purely very personal now. I know that you are either free to play or like really, really, really low spender. I myself, we were going to do this like 4 months ago, right? Or 3 months ago, we were talking about doing something, and we were talking about the spending. And I actually went through my full spending over the course of January 2017 till this is probably April of this year. And between January 2017 and April of this year, and this is all related to Duel of the Fates. How much money do you think you've spent in 7, 8 years of playing?
Ooh, so okay, so I bought a, so in what, when CLS was released, what, 2017?
Yeah.
I did an old Ben pack for $20 that I still regret to this day. Um that one hurts more than anything else, right? Like that, hold on, just for perspective of
Old Ben.
everybody fucking watching, right? Like Lightspeed bundles aside, like that fucking old Ben pack hit like crack back in the day, man. Like, you know, $20 for like 80 shards was a fucking steal, and now it's like, hey, here's Relic 5 characters. Um, and then I bought the Resistance bundle for it was the $10 bundle with the Resistance heroes, but I got a Google Play discount of $3 for it, so that was only $7. And then I did the $10 Rebel bundle, and then I did do the Galactic Republic Jedi one for $20. So
Okay.
I
So
mean,
about
we're
$100 on the game?
no, like not even
Less.
50.
Fif-
Uh
50 to
oh wait,
75?
57, 60.
$57. Okay, I started January 1st, 2017. How much money do you think I've spent on this game? And I don't consider myself a whale by any means. And I go through like spending cycles where I'll pay $50 and then I won't spend for 8 months.
Ooh, I'm gonna go like a 350. I'm gonna say like 350.
Okay. Now, before I tell you the total, I want to tell you a couple things because people are like, "Oh my God." A lot of my spending is like, as a teacher, I get Visa gift cards a lot at the end of the year, and I don't know how many parents you have watching. I hate Visa gift cards. They are the worst fucking thing ever because it's like $30 that I can only spend in one place, and I have to make sure that transaction is under $30. right? I can't even go, oh, use this, then use that. I hate them. So when I get Visa gift cards, I go to Amazon and I like automatically transfer it through Amazon to make it Amazon money, which is getting harder and harder to do. So basically, a lot of my spending has been either gift cards, vanilla gift cards, or it's been like that browser extension Honey. I don't know. I posted on Reddit once and I got so many people to sign up through it that I had so many fucking credits, like $1,000 worth. I have spent $1,057 on this game since January 2017. $1,057. Now I'd say only maybe like 300 or 400 of that was like actual true blood my money. But that's still $1,000 that CG has gotten from me. And Duel of the Fates has pissed me off to the point where I'm like, you're not getting a cent. You've lost all of my trust over this event. All of it. And I'm not a whale. It's about $10 to $11 a month, right? Like it's not that big a deal. They'll survive without me. But there's a lot of spenders in my position that feel burned by this event. We were told it's 7 days. During that weekend, we asked, we were like, hey, is this meant to refresh every day? No one answered us. So we all waited. We were like, no, we're not going to do anything until it was a Monday or a Tuesday, whatever day it was. When the event came out and we saw that it actually refreshes, people like me, I spent like 8,000 crystals. And I bought that stupid $2 Ascension pack just to get more shards to get to 5-star. And this, like within an hour of doing that, they're like, "Oh, by the way, we're changing this event. We screwed up. It's not 7 days anymore." I spent those resources based on information you gave me. Like, and they're like, "We don't care. Like, it's fine. We'll let it refresh one time." Fuck you guys. Like that pisses me off. Every decision I make in this game, and I'm an efficiency player. I do spreadsheets. All of my videos are math based. People call me a nerd constantly. Arnold fucking puts my Reddit posts constantly on his streams and he goes, "Oh, like his math is always so good." Arnold bought me fucking Marin because he's constantly using my posts, right? Because he's using my posts. So like my math is good. Fuck you guys if you're gonna let me math this shit out and then screw me over like that. That
Yeah.
pissed me off.
Oh, I completely agree. And it's a classic. You ever notice how quickly they are to fix something that will hurt them? But if it's something that is broken in the game that causes players to want, like, remember when Basilishan Fallen would fear the entire fucking team? Like
Yeah.
that took years to fix. Same thing with
The same thing with Negotiator,
oh,
right? With
I
the
was just about
Negotiator
to
unending loyalty.
I was just about to say that one. They didn't fix it till Executor came out. Like,
The second Executor came out, you're like, oh, by the way, we fixed this bug that's been in the game for 3 years.
yeah, and
What?
it felt very much like another classic instance of you guys are going to get one over on us and we're not going to let that happen. And it even like if you remember like every especially back when like Jedi Master Kenobi was released and the buffs they did to him and then subsequent nerfs really to other characters to keep him where he was.
Yeah.
Um
Where they
and
go,
I go
oh, we didn't mean this.
yeah, like the whole Knights like so I had Sith Eternal and that was my only GL at the time when Kenobi was released. So part of my hatred of Sith Eternal is how much he sucked after that. But it was very much like a fuck you that you guys are smarter than us, so we don't know how to fix this, so we're just gonna write it into the kit. And now and I think that's what started the needing the PhD to read every fucking kit that comes into the game is we didn't think that stealth would be a problem.
Yeah. It's,
Um,
I know they got rid of the beta program around the time, what was it, around Datacrons, because somebody leaked Datacron information on Reddit and before they came out, so they got rid of the beta program. And I don't know how good the beta program was because I wasn't a part of it and because shit was falling through anyway. But what it comes down to is there are so many characters in this game that even if they are testing them, and I'm sure they are to some degree, they're testing them the way that they want to. The whole point of quality assurance, like QA and beta, is for people to try and break the game, right? For people to put the weirdest shit together and see if it works. And without that, we get things released into the game. Like Mark 6, people are putting Mark 6 with profundity. It's a fucking Sith ship. Like that shouldn't happen, but for some reason it works to counter Leviathan. That shouldn't happen.
oh, it's a hilarious. I was doing. It's so funny you say that. I remember doing a fleet counter guide, and I was talking about like beating profundity with I think it was Empire, and the Mark 6 came out because it was a guy in my fleet chart who uses it, and Mark 6 comes out and completely stops me in my tracks because I can't do what I'm supposed to do against all these other rebel fleets. And I mean, like think about how poorly Leviathan performed on its release. Same thing with
It was
Profundity.
buggy.
I remember the 7-star Leviathan guys. I remember one of them put it out, like took it out and put Profundity back on defense.
When Profundity came out, there were a couple of bugs, and I look, I get it. Like it's a game. I grew up playing computer games in the late '90s, and that was like, hey, we ship out a CD, it works or it doesn't, and you have to deal with bugs. So I'm used to bugs. I grew up playing massive multiplayer games, so I'm used to bugs. Like bugs happen. I get that. Profundity had some bugs attached to it. Leviathan was straight up broken the day it came out. Like nothing was working with it. It was Mark 6 could target a capital ship. Like it's just so insane.
And and that's I think part of the reason why I'm wondering if like Jar Jar, right? I mean, you have Jar Jar, and this is like a
Yes.
massive sidebar, but like you look at some of these GCs we're getting with these gungans, and the Omicron that you've yet to equip. Um,
Ugh. Phalanx
the
one. Yeah, that's the only one I don't have. I bought the Boomadeer one yesterday.
the like, and everybody's saying that that Omicron was not meant for us, but it was meant for them to break us. And I mean, I get it, right? Like you see it, but you wonder if like how much testing do you actually think went into Jar Jar? Like
On it,
realistically,
honestly, when it came to Jar Jar, I don't want to say it was fully polished because there are still some bugs related to him, like the fact that you can do a 4-man plus like anybody, right? And you have the shield generator still, which isn't supposed to happen. I, again, I do think they do some testing, but I think they only do ideal conditions testing. So like,
yeah.
oh, I'm gonna just throw the 5 together and see if it works. They didn't throw because the fact that Boss Nass can spawn a shield generator with literally anybody else should have been caught super easily.
Yeah,
So I think it's only under those ideal conditions that they test.
that was gonna be my next question to you, like, because that's exactly what I think. Like, I think that they test like a, oh yeah, well, Jar Jar's not meant to counter, Jedi Master Kenobi, so I don't need to test that. And it's like, oh, guess what?
Exactly.
He clears him. Like, this is a problem. Um, which kind of leads into if I go, I'm switching my screen capture back to like the forums here. Do you get any kind of feeling with GL Ahsoka that she's either going to be like broken beyond all belief or that they're going to really do their due diligence? Because I try to be a CG like they're trying to do the right thing, right? I don't know if that's But
So
oh, go ahead.
so the thing is, like, I'm mad at CG right now, right? And again, as a collective entity, not any specific person. I get, like, we all show up, we go to our jobs, we do our jobs, and you have there's so many people. I'm on Reddit, obviously, constantly. There's so many people that just don't understand business. I am a business owner, and they just don't understand like all of the cogs that go through. Um, but I'm mad at CG right now. I'm pissed about my $2. It has not and my 8,000 crystals. It has nothing to do with it being $2. It's the principle. But over the last year, I have been very pro CG in terms of like, hey, they're making a lot of the right moves and they're doing things in the right way. And I was feeling super like up on them, almost like a stock, like going through the roof, like some SpaceX shit. With GL Ahsoka, right now she's not attached to any event. And she might be attached to the next raid for all we fucking know, but uh, all we know is that she's coming. We don't have any economy event attached to her, and both Jabba and Leia got an economy event attached. I think she's going to be silly. I think she's going to be really silly. I think she's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be really hard to beat her, and especially those first 4 months when her crazy, ridiculous Datacron comes out. She is going to be nuts.
And so you bring up a good point about the raid because they say what end of the year, and so like she could be for the next raid. The other thought that I had was, are some of her requirements going to be necessary in Naboo raid? Um,
I think
because
that'd be
they
friendly.
and because they were very like, if you give credit where it's due, they were pretty friendly with Leia in
Yeah.
the characters. Like there was a bunch of Rex there. There was also a bunch of Rex if you go back to the Crate Dragon raid. Like you could use the whole Hut cartel faction, which
Hmm.
was, that was good because there's a lot more than just Jabba's team there. Um, and so I could see an aspect there where if they're trying to do that, like that's okay. But I definitely think they'll make an event for her. Like
So keep in mind that Speeder Bike came out in November. I don't remember the exact day. It was like November 11th to November 15th, somewhere in there. And now we got Naboo. What is it, July 2nd that it came out? Ahsoka's coming out towards the end of the year, so November, December, and 7 months is February. So she could be for the next raid. We have no idea. I think it's smart of them not to say it. But if you look at her requirements so far, they're not terrible, right? Like Night Trooper Relic 7, that's the same as Leia.
yep.
Ahsoka Tano Relic 9, like that hurts. She's not the strongest character, but she is usable. Most of us do have her at Relic 5 already, right? Or I think 5, right? Yeah, it was 5 for JMK.
No, she
Um,
she's not a JMK wreck. She's not
but
a
she wasn't a wreck,
no.
but
She's
she was
just
in the team, so we all relicked her.
yes, correct.
Okay, so we all relicked her anyway. General Anakin is an LV wreck, and he's strong at like R5 to R7 anyway. And Asajj, I mean, my whole Night Sister team is R8, but they just did the Lightspeed bundle for them. So I don't think that the requirements have been so bad so far, other than the fact that I do think we'll get at the very least one, if not two more R9s.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we're gonna get at least one more. Um, I felt they've been missing from GLs for a long time. That's
I
just
was
my
surprised that Leia did not have R9s.
even Jabba. Like both Jabba and Leia were only Relic 7 Rex, which just blew my mind. Or like there
I
was
was surprised by Jabba too, not having
yeah,
more R8s.
yeah, it was one R8 a piece. Like because you go back to Lord Vader where it was 4,
Yes.
and Kenobi was 2. Like it didn't Jabba and Leia, their value to me is so much greater because realistically there's not that much to do.
Yeah.
Um but so with Ahsoka I do agree. I think she's gonna get a lot, like there's more to come that's going to, I feel they released Asajj, Night Trooper, Snips, and General Skywalker early get everybody to spend on that, and then I have a very hot take that I will share while you're here because why the fuck not? But I have a little so I was coming up with my own Ahsoka like requirements,
Hmm.
trying to, and I'm gonna say this, I made this list before the Rex came out, so I had like this whole
Okay.
list ready before it came out, and I'm gonna make a whole video on it anyway. But right here is my first hot take. I think Kidi Mundi is gonna be required for Ahsoka.
And I don't think it's a bad look. Again, I'm on Reddit constantly, and I'm hearing like I'm on the pulse of people saying things. And they're like, "Oh, damn!" Like, "Oh, they're gonna make him a requirement. It's gonna suck." I get it. He's very hard to get now because LSGO is not around, and using Get 3 towards him seems tough and like awful for those people. But he's been around for what, like 3 years at this point?
Yeah, like
I,
I did the I think I did the I don't I think yeah, I did the math where I like proved you are much smarter as a guild to go do a light side geo to earn cam than you are to do Rise of the Empire and earn get 3 because of how much his shards cost. That it does not make sense.
yes, it doesn't make sense to buy his shards with Get 3. But obviously right now it doesn't make sense to go back to LSGO just because there's no reason to. And if he becomes a requirement, I do think you'll probably see guilds popping up that are like specifically like temporary guilds to get people cams. Right now, believe it or not, I mean, I just pulled it up. There's only 50,000 cams at 7 stars, which seems like a lot, but it isn't when you're talking about like GLs that have 150, 200,000 plus, and you're talking about like Darth Vader, who there are like 800,000 of, and I only use it as like my basis for the how big the player base is.
No, yeah. I Kidi Mundi to me is a very underrated character and undervalued because I think he was a luxury when Qui-Gon Jinn Omicron was the standard. But with Keller and Beck now in the game, he went to a requirement in my mind. That it went from Qui-Gon Jinn really only needs Jedi Knight Anakin to this guy elevates two different teams even without the Datacron. Like Keller and Beck inside of Territory Wars with Kidi Mundi is kind of necessary.
I just recently took mine to relics, because the big part of his kick was the plus speed. It was probably last month that I took him to R3. I will eventually take him to like R7, R8. I know he hits like a Mac fucking truck at R7, and he's really strong. But that also brings us to another thing when we talk about like this update and the road ahead. It's not a stealth change to him because they did mention it in the update, but because there were so many different sources of updates, it kind of got lost in the shuffle. What are your thoughts on the fact that now he doesn't taunt and he does protection up?
Oh, I think that's terrible. The taunt was like the best part of that. Like the annoyance that taunt provided was what made him so much more valuable to like the Qui-Gon Jinn team. That you could have Mace Windu, okay, I gotta figure that out, and then Kidi Mundi's taunting now. I can't get
And he's
over
taunting
to
too.
yeah. I mean, yeah, and like the thing is, like the protection up doesn't really like. There's what benefit is that providing him inside of that team because it's really just more buffs that I'm gonna pull off with my ad match. Like,
Yeah, with the teams that counter him anyway, right? Like,
yeah,
but it's just one of those things that like it got lost in the shuffle of like, oh, by the way, we did this, and it was in the update notes. It was very small, I believe, at the very end, but like because we were so inundated with so much information, and because the raid dropped on the same day, which like they kind of stealth told us about, um, nobody really paid attention to it.
and I think that comes back to what we were kind of covering earlier as we go on every side tangent possible because that's exactly what we're gonna do in every one of these. But
That's what
like,
drinking does.
yeah, the whole the way the information was released was so crazy to me. And the other side of this that I just want to like really mention is like I'm showing everybody here. I'm sure you can see it too. Like some of these known issues that are getting put in, like Night Trooper, there are known issues to this dude, and he's getting released tomorrow. Which like
Yeah.
don't get me started on why a character is getting released on July 4th. Like
It's so like it blows my mind. Like, so I'm sure I have strangely a lot of viewers in like Germany and like Israel and like Ireland and Australia. So there are obviously, I'm sure, viewers that you have that are like, oh, well, it's an American holiday, go fuck yourself. Um, CG's an American company. Like they're based in
yeah.
America. They have July 4th off. They're not going to be in office tomorrow. It just seems so crazy to throw all of these things at us and then be like, okay, bye. We're not going to be here. Good luck. Have fun.
Oh, you haven't noticed that before? This is like par for the course, man. They always do this. It's like
They
every
do, and it doesn't make sense.
it's like every major holiday. It's like here's something new. Fuck off.
We're going to give you this big drop, and if there's problems for these 3 weeks, I don't know what to tell you. Just figure it out.
Yeah, like it's like Rise of the Empire was released like what right before like Christmas, or whatever it was. Like
It was
it
like either right before or right after. It was in a weird time. Yeah.
or Thanksgiving, whatever it was. It just was like God, man. And I think like there's just so many. Like I'm reading through some of these issues, and it's like Droideka does not recover health and protection after using its reconstructive revolution ability. Like, it's a big fucking part of its kit is that it goes into damage immunity and heals. Like,
Yes.
I think this goes back to, and this is not on Meathead, again, when we say CG, we're very clear on this. Like, someone is telling him, yeah, we're releasing this July 2nd, regardless of what's wrong. But, like,
Yes.
how can you make like I would feel embarrassed if I gave my boss something that was this incorrect. Or I would say if I was like, "Hey, this is as bad as it is," or like these are all the issues and here it is. Like I cannot do that without being like, "Hey, I don't know. I would not feel comfortable releasing it to people like this on a deadline. I'd
And
rather
that's the problem. I again, like I work in a school and I work for myself, but before I worked for myself, I worked for somebody else doing this similar things, and I remember going to my boss and being like, "Hey, are we doing XYZ?" Oh, why does it matter? Oh, it matters because these people want to know. And I can see Meathead in the office being like, "Hey guys, like I need to know what to tell them. I need to know what to tell them." And he's not getting all of the information. But what's really mind-blowing about this is with the holiday being tomorrow and the raid releasing today, if they just waited 1 week, I'm sure they could have knocked out a couple of these things, but then
yes.
also been on hand for any major things that they missed, right? Because that's anytime you have a major release, you want your staff on hand just in case there's something crazy.
Yeah, like and especially like I remember back when Arnold, like in Arnold, I want to give like Arnold as much credit as I possibly can for this. That I mean, one, I've said for a very long time that CG should hire him because of the attention he brings this game. He is the like people go to him before the forums. Like they don't go to the forums for news. They wait for Arnold's videos. Um, but like when he goes and tests things, do you remember? I don't know if you remember this, but I remember he was testing TIE Defender, and he like discovered something, and like midstream CG comes out with an announcement that they're investigating TIE Defender, and it's like and I remember just dying because one, if you've ever noticed, they always do any character release on a day that there's a GAC stream for Arnold. Like it's I've
Yeah,
I've noticed that, and people are like, "Oh, they just do it on that day," and I'm like, "No." they time it up that they know he streams at this time, and like they pay attention and they know that
Which
he's
makes
doing it.
sense. Which it does. Yeah. Again, I'm on record. I've said this before. I'm not into the theatrics, so I don't watch his stuff. But I have chatted with him, the person behind the mask, before, and he's a very nice guy. I would buy him a beer. I would hang out with him for an hour or two. But it does make sense. He is the face of this game for people, and I've heard so many people say like, "Oh, like even when I quit the game for 6 months, I still watched his videos because they were fun."
Yeah. Oh, he's the king of like entertainment for this game. Like I've said for when I would, because I haven't watched a lot of stuff recently, but when I was watching in my heyday, Arnold was entertainment, and I would go to Zareth to like learn. That was my like
To learn
how
stuff. Yeah.
yeah. And I was like, I watch Arnold because I'm gonna have a fun time, but like I want to learn, I'm gonna go watch Zareth. And I think Arnold, I always have said that I think I'd love to see him play a GAC seriously, just to see how good he actually is. Because I think he is a far better player if he actually tried to do similar to what you. I'd love to know what your GAC ranking would be if you didn't just set eight
If I
GLs on
tried.
defense. Yeah, like
But yeah, I mean, what it comes down to for me, and for me for GAC, right? It comes down to the ROI of GAC. When I know I'm gonna win 50% unless I invest really heavily, I don't need to try, right? So like .gg got an update recently, and now they
oh
show your
yes,
win percent. My
yeah. I
win
was gonna.
percent over, I mean, I'll pull it up right now so that I can.
Oh,
Where is
all
it? Egnards.
what? Yeah, are you
.gg.
Egnards in GG?
Yeah, I am. Um,
I'm pulling up your thing right now. Which oh, everybody just gets to see me do that. Oh no, I guess you didn't. But like, you can just Google people and like here, I'm gonna go back and redo this, right? Like I literally just typed in my search bar egnardswigo.gg and it's gonna pull up his account. So if you're ever looking for somebody, just like do that or search their guild and you'll be able to find them. So then we go to his GAC. Yeah, so you're at
yeah,
what?
and if I'm in
So
Kyber too, and if you look at my win rates, like they beat the averages, so why should I try?
here 55% all time with a better 59% 3v3, 51% 5v5. Is that what you see, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and then
why should I try? There's no reason to.
if we go to mine, I'm 59 in 3v3 and 54 in 5v5 and 56 all time and I go fucking hard.
So
And
you get a 1% overall win rate. Like, what does that get you in terms of crystals? An extra like 1,200 crystals over me? No, I'm good. My time is not. My
oh yeah.
time is it's more valuable to me to be able to sit on the couch with my wife and watch some TV than it is to care about GAC.
Well, you know what's funny is so like this year I've kept track of I have a little like tracker in my phone. Before GG did their big update, I have this tracker where I was like, "Oh, I'm going to track my GAC cuz I made Kyber 1 at the start of the year." So I was like, "Oh, I want to track and see how I've done." And I mean, it's comical. I have 2 losses this year because of a tie break, which
Yeah.
like don't fucking get me started on how fucking ridiculous and ass
We'll
backwards it
fight
is
on
that
this too. That we can talk about this. This could be a whole episode. I don't care, man. We could do a whole thing on that.
but either way, like, and again, I mean, I get it. The rule is the rule. Like, they can still fuck off that like I played better than you, but you have a bigger account, so you win. Like, blow me. But, um, but like it goes back to this whole thing that even if you try and GAC at the end of the day, it doesn't make any sense to go crazy investing in it because they're just going to knock you back down to a certain degree.
Correct.
And if you think about all these new things they're releasing, right? Like GL Ahsoka, for example, and whatever Datacrons, Omicrons, all the shit that she gets. The other side of that equation is, you say territory wars, right? Because GAC territory wars are kind of the, which one are you? But
Hmm.
I've chosen GAC because I can control GAC. I can't control territory war because if my guild decides that we're going to bring 35 people, we're going to go up against some guild that's smaller than us and smoke them. Because it's going to be like the Philadelphia Eagles going up against your high school team. Like, it doesn't matter if the Eagles only get 7 guys on the field. You're not fucking blocking, Fletcher Cox with 3, 150-pound linemen. Like, it just ain't happening.
If this was a year ago, I would be lost and I'd be somewhere over there. I'd be like, oh, football. But now I get football, so it's fine. We watch football now. We're football people.
Oh, yeah. I'm like everything sports people. But
We my wife and I just bought a new entertainment center for our living room because our old one can only accommodate a 55-inch TV, and now I need a 72-inch TV because we're football people. So we need to see the little people run and throw the ball just a little bit bigger. So I'm waiting for that to come. I'm very excited.
oh, nice, nice. Yeah, I've only got 55-inch TVs in the basement and the living room. But I started on a little 32-inch Samsung that I bought myself for $400 when I was 15. So that's
Oh
gonna date
God.
that's gonna date all of you to let you know how much TVs used to cost back in the day.
How they used to be. My last TV, my 55-inch, I bought a Scepter. I don't see. This is why I like when I do Tales off the Holotable shit, right? Like this is where we just like chat and it's fun. My last TV was a Scepter, which is a 55-inch dumb TV. I hate smart TVs. I hate smart appliances. It was $300. And it's still
Nice.
going strong. I fucking love that TV, but it's just not big enough anymore for football.
Oh yeah, see, I like the smart TV, especially when you have a fucking toddler screaming at you to get Bluey on the TV again. But
I work special ed, so I deal with a lot of teenagers that like Bluey, right?
yeah,
So like I get it. Bluey's pretty good. I've watched an episode or two.
oh, I can't stand it. But I'm not a big fan. I just can't stand that this just watch SpongeBob. Like
Guys, do you hear this? Fat Phil hates Bluey. Cancel him.
yeah, listen, come at me for it, all right? Like Bluey,
I'm a
Blippy.
Bluey fan.
Oh, see, everybody. I like a lot of people love Bluey. I just like the. Oh,
I'm a Bluey fan. I watched an episode where he fake was on a plane. Loved it. I was also high, but it doesn't matter. I still loved it.
whoa, well, hold on. That changes everything. Maybe I need to change
It
my
doesn't matter.
Bluey. Need to change my Bluey viewing
You're not
experiences.
you're not watching Bluey correctly. Now, are you asking yourself why we're two 30-plus-year-olds with no children and 2 cats watching Bluey High? I don't have an answer for you, but it was pretty good.
No, there's no judgment on this side of the fence. I got laughed at Sheets the other week for wearing shorts that were apparently too short because I was a runner, and that's what we fucking do. Like,
You wear short shorts. Exactly.
oh, absolutely.
Tomorrow morning when I wake up at 5:45 to run, I'll be wearing short shorts.
Yep. So here's a try to get us back on track, but let me ask you this: when you think about Swago and you think about like the state of the game right now, if somebody asked you what direction do you think Capital Games is heading, do you think that their plan is based around, say, introducing stuff that is going to last? Or do you think that their thought process is let's release things like we'd rather release things that are around and kind of burn out quickly, like the Datacrons and the raids, how that's kind of constantly evolving and changing, that they'd rather kind of get that quick cash and then move on to the next thing and kind of throw it away? Or do you think that they've been more trying to release content that can last a long time, like Rise of the Empire and the GAC and the Territory War stuff?
I think it's kind of a strange balance of trying to do both, right? For them, they obviously want to make money. They're a business. Go figure. They want to make money for EA. And I think it's about trying to do both. So Rise of the Empire, as an example, is them coming up with content that they can change and they can modify over time easier, which means that the costs are lower versus having to develop brand new TVs every year. So they're releasing something that maybe costs a little more upfront, but that they can edit it throughout the years and change it and they can mold it at a very low cost over time. When it comes to Datacron, obviously they roll over every 3 to 4 months, and the very, very highly competitive players are spending a lot of money to stay at the very top of GAC to make them money. Those are like the two, you kind of hit both of them, major balancing acts of trying to find the things that are sustainable versus the things that are cheap gimmicks. And if we look at the history of CG, they've always tried their best to kind of stay on trend with what's interesting in the mobile gaming market. So, for example, when Ray and SLKR came out, that infamous tier 3, right? The rocks, paper, scissors tier. That everybody's like, oh, it's so easy, just follow the guide. Well, there was no fucking guide when I did it, right? Like when I did it, you just had to roll the dice and figure it out. But that was big in mobile gaming. That stupid Harry Potter game had the rocks, paper, scissors wind battles. So they were like, hey, let's do this. Conquest is basically AFK Arena. It's basically every clone of AFK Arena has this conquest mode where you do exactly the same thing, and that was their take on it that was slightly different. I think they look at the trends that other games are doing and they go, oh, hey, this is working for them. Let's try it. I'm pretty sure that Marvel Strike Force did their version of Omicrons, or like, I don't think it was Omicrons, but it was like specific to game mode abilities. And
Correct.
they're
Yeah,
like, hey,
they
let's try that.
yeah, they so the cuz I played Marvel Strike Force for like 6 months during like right during COVID. I was like, "Oh, I'm
During
going to
deep COVID.
yeah, like during like time where it's like, "Oh, my job isn't that demanding," and then like, things happen and I was like, "I got to quit this." But yeah, they had like game mode specific, like in raids this happens, in what their version of territory wars was at the time this happens. And it was awesome because you would use different characters for that purpose. Where Swago kind of was like, oh, here's Inquisitors with 5 territory war Omicrons on the leadership ability.
Which
Like,
is, God, there's two types of people. So I'm going to get back to that in a second, but I do think they're trying to find a lot of different revenue sources and figure out what's working, because mobile gaming has changed a lot. So with Lightspeed bundles, with the new marquee structure, they're lowering the overall cost and hoping more people bring it in. And I'm okay with that stuff. That doesn't bother me. I know I've spent a lot more than you, and I know I've spent a lot more than people watching this who are like, oh, he spent so much. That's over 8 fucking years. It's really not that much money. Um, they're looking to get more of the casual money, like myself, or like you like yourself, overall. Now, going back to what you're saying with the Grand Inquisitors, there's two types of people that have those Grand Inquisitors. Uh, the first are the dumb people who are like, oh, Grand Inquisitor is going to have an Omicron that activates all of these. So just wait for Grand Inquisitor and see. Like,
yeah,
why get them all ahead of time for fun? That's stupid. That's dumb. And then you have people like, and I love him to death. I don't know if he listens to any of your shit. I have no idea if he'll ever hear this, but I do love him and I do talk to him constantly. So I hope he gets this as an LOL of some sort. But then you have guys like Pico Burrito who just does it for fun. He's like, I am just gonna get all of the Omicrons just because I want to and to piss people off. There's two types of people that have those Omicrons, and those are the two types of people: dumb people and Pico Burrito.
Wombat fits into the Pico Burrito category because he has the
Oh, fuck you, Wombat.
he has the Cal he had the Cal Kestis Omicron and no Fulcrum. Like, do you know the levels of anger that I felt looking at that? Like I mean, it like to okay, you have Fulcrum, but not Cal. Fine, but like you have an Omicron that is literally like if Fulcrum is present, her Omicron is active.
He did it. He did it to your Wombat, and I hope he listens to this. Your Wombat is my cunctator because he loves to hear what I say, but listen to none of it.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And I
But
love him. I really do. But that's
and
him.
I mean, we're all kind of like that with CG because I feel like we all kind of see the signs of what's coming and just ignore it. Like so,
Yeah.
like, and this goes. This was something that I mean, I'm kind of like a conspiracy theorist when it comes to this, but like looking at GL Ahsoka, and you think of the timeline of when we got Executor, when we got Profundity, when we got Leviathan. Like we should have gotten a new GL tier ship instead of Ahsoka. And I
Yes.
think the reason that we got Ahsoka instead is because the Leviathan is such a fucking cash cow for them. Because everybody and their mother, who's, I mean, you know what? Yeah, I'm saying this. You know what? Fuck it. Like, all of you who are dog shit at the game and don't know how to counter a Relic 9 fleet, like, you are the reason that we're getting Ahsoka instead of a new fleet. Is because you are incompetent at climbing without a faster Sith assassin because God forbid you use profundity with one reinforcement. Um, but I think Leviathan has been such a cash cow for them. They don't think they need to release anything because you not only like how many Leviathans do you see at like below 7 star?
Yeah. No. Because at 5, unlike Executor and Profundity, which both didn't perform at their best at 5, but unlocked most of it at 5. You know,
Yeah,
Leviathan does not really unlock anything too crazy until 7. It's not a great fleet unless you max it out.
yeah. Like I'm looking at my fleet shard. 17th place is a 5 star Leviathan. I've never seen that guy higher. And yet we have this guy, Mara Jade, in 7th, who can get first every day with this Executor fleet at 5 star. Like, I mean, Leviathan's the cash cow because, and I think the reasoning is they know that as more players unlock that ship, and they're like, oh, why can't I beat so and so's fleet? And they're like, oh, because their fleet is Relic 9. Well, I gotta boost mine up now. Like, that's that's the way my mind works. And I think if you're an accountant, that's the same way your mind would work. Is that you're trying to get all the sheep to do the same thing because they're getting pissed off.
I can see it both ways. Because I have guys on Discord who send me videos all the time, and I have seen executors that are not even maxed at 7 stars beating Leviathans.
Yep.
I've seen Profundities beating Leviathans. I've seen Marauders being of Leviathans. Leviathan can be easily beat, so there's no urgency to getting it. But once you get it, you do kind of feel like, oh, it's a useless ship unless I have those 7 stars. I do think that the GL, because I feel like I'm countering my own argument here because I actually didn't think we were going to get a GL at all this year. But I do think a GL is a larger cash cow just because it is going to it's going to lead into other things. It's going to lead into other events. People are going to be scared and feel like they have to get it right away, which means marquee farming versus galactic chase farming, which is not usually that bad. 8,000, 9,000 crystals. But who knows? Because they've been fucking up bonus shards lately, and those bonus shards could be worse in the next one that comes up.
Speaking of how bad those were, did you notice how insane the Qui Gon drop rate was comparative to Kenobi?
They were awful. Both of them are awful fucking drop rates. They were awful. Like I tracked it on my Discord. I tracked it on the event server. Dexter, shout out to Dex, who who is on my Discord. I don't know if he's on yours, but he's on my Discord. He's on the event
Yep.
server. He has his own Discord. He does a ton of math work, way more than I do. Like I do the fun stuff. He does the stuff I consider boring, but is way more important to the community. Um, it was bad.
Oh yeah, I've used his charts in videos before because of how awesome they are. And
He
yeah,
does it just for fun. Like I do it because I'm like, oh, like I'm doing it for myself and like I want the community to know. He does it, he's a masochist and he's just like, I need to know the numbers. And it's great. It is great for the community because it is very helpful.
yeah, so shout out Dex if you guys have never seen those because like they're awesome. But it does bring up a point that they have been, even if the drop rates were dog shit, they've done a lot of bonus drop events.
Yes.
And to bring it to a positive light, that has been a big change to this game that I have felt where, and it's not only just the bonus shards, but oftentimes they're including something else. That if you have this character at 7 star, you're going to get a better resource. And I
Yeah.
think that has also earned them a lot of credibility because, like, I can tell you that as an 11 point whatever, I'm 11.2, I think, now, right? Like, it's kind of, like, I get kind of fucking pissed off when, like, I mean, I bought how many of the Lightspeed bundles, but, like, how many of you have just sped through the game that I had to slog through? Like that. I can remember when hard node attempts were 3 instead of 5,
Yes.
and single
Yep.
nodes. Like it just was not fucking fun. It took forever. Um, and so
And even more recently, not recent, but more recently, challenge tiers when they were not simmable. You'd wake up in the
oh
morning and go, "Oh, great! I have to spend an hour and a half on places of power today." Like
oh my
that was
god.
that was sucked.
Don't I'm so glad that it was simmable by the time I got to the Inquisitor Galactic challenge. Cause
Oh my
I would
god.
have like that would have been, my yeah, would have been my 13th reason. Like it just would have just would have sent me over the edge.
You're gonna get a Netflix sponsorship now.
Yeah.
Um, it was like people don't understand like when you go, oh, the assault battle was not that bad. Yeah, well, when you have a G12 CLS team and Mon Mothma doesn't exist, right, and you have to do that every month and just hope for the right RNG, I would wake up and in bed do it, and on days where I got it on the first try, it was like Christmas morning. I
Oh,
was like, oh
dude,
my god.
I used to have to remod CLS because I would have to use uh 501st Rex instead of Chupio because I didn't have Chupio didn't exist, so I would
Chupio didn't
use
exist. I did it with R2D2.
I had to use like the clone version of Rex with Chewbacca and make him weaker than my CLS, so that way because CLS can keep himself alive, but Rex can't. So I'd have to get Rex to get the healing and everything, and it was just misery. And if Rex didn't
It
get
was
if he didn't get tenacity up early, God fucking forbid, Vader throws a culling blade and deletes me.
some of those assault battles, like you would spend so like places of power when Nihilus is like your only G12 and you have to like very slowly hit everything. It took an hour and then one person would die and you'd be like, all right, this is over. I have to start again. Some people don't understand where you come from in terms of like I'm so happy it's easier. These are like quality of life changes that we
Oh yeah.
shouldn't have had to have dealt with. So I'm happy for those players, but it was a very different world with those before those existed. When we had to do light side geo, which is way worse than ROT, like that sucked. Those battles were awful.
The only one I'd say that's worse in Rise of the Empire for me is Dathomir. I think Dathomir is
I
the
can
most,
full auto Dathomir.
which my guild is using to its fullest extent because we literally just have a forum in our server of going to the Untagunga server and just fucking stealing like everything. But Dathomir, the fact that I watched my Kylo eat 4 straight
No, Kylo
assists.
sucks there. No, no, no.
But again,
I
I don't
can.
have the I didn't have the options to. But like you watch Talzin do 4 straight assists on your SLKR, and you're just like, what the fuck?
Well, yeah, that's why I don't like SLKR there is because you watch the fucking Sith Spirit hit it once and it's like, okay, you're dead. Great. Fucking my GL, who's R8, is gone. Wonderful. Before 10 turns have happened. But I can full auto it between Night Sisters, between Empire, between Sith with Bane now, and between Inquisitors. I don't even look at Dathomir. But it
I
is
used
one of the worst planets.
Yeah, I used Trench this past time, which is
Trench, I've heard, can auto it as well.
yeah. I didn't try to auto it. I auto the Empire one. I do auto the Lord Vader because that's just a joke.
I auto everything. I last ROTE I was on vacation, so I didn't give a shit about anything. And I did less waves than normal, but on a normal ROTE, I get about 110 to 115 waves, and I only do maybe 3 or 4 combats on manual.
Oh, that's
Like I
insane.
auto the whole thing.
I know. So I auto almost all of my Leia battles.
Leia can
Jabba,
auto every single phase up to R4. I don't know about Planet 5 because I don't have our R9.
Jabba
Jabba can
can.
auto all 4.
Yep. Lord Vader is an auto. Sith Eternal, I don't trust on auto.
Sith Eternal does better now that Bane is out. I don't trust him. Sith Eternal does fine in Geo on auto with Bane as well. He does fine with Bane on Dathomir. But in day 1 and day 4 is not super great. I don't really trust him super well.
But
Inquisitor is very, very good. Night
and
Sisters, very good. I love them.
that brings
The
me up to a.
Jedi,
I was gonna
go
ask this
ahead.
question about about Gungans because I know they're.
They
Uh,
auto everything.
so now you have the Tarpals Omicron, correct?
Yes.
So because that was gonna be my question is, do you think the Omicron is necessary to complete TV? Because
So here's the thing about Gungans. I do know other people that have Gungans. Obviously, Jar Jar's a decisive character, but I do think there's a lot of people who are super fans of him that did get him early that normally wouldn't. And I know a lot of those people. They're on my Discord. They're part of the reason why I have any audience at all. Um, I have them all at R9, which I did without any spending. I did just hoarding. Um, and they auto up to day 5. So they auto Ring of Kafrine with no. I lost once without platoons, but otherwise I haven't lost at all. Um, I have other friends that don't have the Tarpals Omicron that say they perform well, but they don't auto with them.
okay, because that was
And I use them on Zepho as well against those 3 robots, and I can auto. They do not perform well without the Tarpals Omicron.
okay because that was gonna be my guild is we're kind of at this like awkward point where we're trying to like prioritize our combats with like operations and one of the issues we kind of ran into was we tried an interesting split between Cat and JMK, which kind of backfired a little bit. And
Mm.
then the other side of that I said was, well, how many people have Gungans? Like, can Gungans without the Tarpals Omicron still sweep? Because if that's the case, then we're opening up how many people to have Jar Jar in the next month that'll, get us over the line.
You
Um,
know, you can talk to is you can talk to Moonborn because, and by the way, shout out to Moonborn for those of you watching here. He did the thumbnail that I don't see right now, but that you'll see at the beginning of this video. He did Fat Phil's redesign. He does all of my art for me. He is fantastic, but he has Jar Jar and he does not have the Omicron. So talk to him. He'll let you know more about that.
I definitely will actually, because that was a big sticking point for us. Was like trying to figure out who can give what character and when. Um, but I think this kind of almost comes, full circle in a way that the importance of these characters like Jar Jar. And I know you're a big TB guy, and I actually very much enjoy TB, even though I put zero Omicrons into it. Um, but the characters like the Gungans and Ahsoka coming and Balin and even this new Imperial Remnant faction with like the Night Trooper and all this garbage. The importance of these characters in territory battles is tantamount because they are, I don't even know if that's the right word to use there, but they are so important because they're not in operations.
Yeah.
So the value they carry is far in excess of that of your Jedi Master Kenobi and Commander Thanos because they will never, I mean, I shouldn't say never, but they're not in your typical operations.
Yeah, and that's important because if you look at like Mandalore, right? In Mandalore, you have a lot of those new characters that are in operations. It hurt me to see Merrin in the operation there because I was like, oh crap, I'm one of the only people with an R8 Merrin. I have to platoon her. I can't use her. The next bonus planet, some of these characters will be there, but overall, as a majority, that's only a 1 day thing
Yep.
versus a 6 day thing.
Yeah, because like I did R8 Trench for my guild, bit one for the bullet, I took one for the team, and then obviously I have Wampa.
That's a bad bullet to take. I have an R9 Hoth Rebel Soldier, so
Yeah, I Trench was like it was funny when I was looking at the list of characters and it was like the soldiers and all these people. I'm like, I'm taking Trench. Like, I don't know why like people aren't volunteering for this. Like and he got me so many holds in GAC
decent.
that it's awesome.
The way that we do things is we have the good ones, the mediocre ones, and the shit tiers, right? Trench would not fall under a shit tier for us. I don't even have Trench at Relics right now. I haven't even bothered. I've always had him. I unlocked him right away. But he'd be a mid tier in our guild. So if you volunteered for him, we'd be sending dirty messages about you in officer chat going, this fucking asshole. He didn't do any of the shit tiers. What the hell?
Oh, I did well back in the day I did a Ugnaught. Took one of those, which is awful. But I will say this, and my guild they know this, but like I'm more of a believer that like I'm one of the smallest accounts in my guild. I am like, which is
Me
crazy,
too.
but I'm one of the smallest, and I say that with the mindset that if you're a 13 million power player in the guild, the bullets that I will take for you is that I'll make sure that my raid teams are ready. I'll make sure that I'm not causing you to miss rewards and those things. But the other side of that is you kind of need to go and volunteer for the Coruscant Underworld Police and Clone Wars Chewy crap, and I'll be able to help you with some of those other things to get to progress my account to the point that it's helping the guild more. Because otherwise, like me building a Relic 9, Coruscant Underworld Police helps nobody. Right? Like, I mean, it completes an operation, but it completely devastates my account. But if I go and take my Jedi Knight Luke to Relic 9, now I've got another Jedi I can use for a combat mission. I've got a Jedi I can put in operations, and that's far more valuable to the guild. I don't know if that makes sense if you follow that logic, but that
Well, I mean, as a TB officer, all I care about is that, and I say this to anybody that like comes in as a new player to our guild, is it's a team effort, and as long as everybody's doing something, I don't care. Like I don't police things. I don't keep track of like every little thing. I just want everybody to be doing something. And the people who we remove from the guild, which is very rare, we just removed somebody a week ago, which was unfortunate. But people we remove are the people who just aren't doing anything or aren't trying at all.
yeah,
I'm also one of the lowest GP in my guild. I'm in the bottom 50% for my guild. But
Oh,
even when
only
I was a more casual player, I put up waves because I knew what I was doing.
only 50. I'm like bottom six.
Oh,
Like,
I don't know. I don't know if I'm that low anymore.
yeah,
Uh, I'm pulling it up now, but I don't think
yeah.
I
I'm
think
like.
I've clawed my way to the top.
Let me see if I go to my guild. I know I'm like bottom six.
My guild leader makes fun of me because I messaged him on Reddit and I was like, "Hey, you have an opening. I probably don't fit it. Can I get in?" And he said yes. And I think he regrets it to this day.
Oh,
Uh,
I moved up because of Gungans and the Lightspeed bundle. I'm like, so I'm like, I don't know,
yeah,
40, 42nd or 41st. I'm not high up there.
I'm actually kind of getting there in my guild. I'm closer to the top now. Wow, I was like really low for a very long time. But it comes down to efficiency and like really working to get there. And even when I was 5 mil and everybody in my guild was like 7 million, I was putting up more waves than them because I know how to use my roster better than anybody else.
And I think that's interesting you say that because I know like our TB as very passionate people we are about TB. Like in this territory battle, combat missions don't mean nearly as much as
No,
deployments do.
yeah.
And that comes back to a big conspiracy theory I have that I think CG has done their best to remove skill in as many ways as they can and replace it with gear bottlenecks or like the buy this and you'll be good. Like the Night Trooper Datacron, the Padawan Obi-Wan Datacron, how those aren't even available unless you wail on that character. And that kind of goes back to how they change combats to, you know what, 250,000 in phase 1. Like they completely took away those players who could build a territory battle focused account and get into a higher guild because it doesn't matter if you complete your combat missions, did you deploy?
Yeah, I mean it does depend, and I could I again, this is another thing that I could spend like 4 hours just going over and talking about, but I think that if you remember Hoth was a six phase thing, and you had the six different battles, and you had to do your platoons, and they weren't that difficult, and you could do your combats, and then lights LSGO and LS or DSGO kind of changed that with the 36-hour phases, but the combats, even for DSGO early on, DSGO got easier later on, but what you ended up having to do was like have three separate phases as a guild. You had to have your operations phase or your platoon phase, which was like 6 hours,
Yep.
and nobody could do combats during that time because the operations were important. And then you do your combats, and nobody could deploy during that time because you needed to know how much combat GP you could get. And then the last 12 hours, you were asking everybody to deploy. And as a TB officer, that was really, really stressful. Like, it
Oh.
was awful. ROTE has kind of changed the game and kind of putting everything together where your individual combats don't matter as much. But as a guild, it still matters, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, but 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 as an individual player, I'm less stressed if somebody goes on vacation. So during LSGO, if someone said, "Hey, I'm going to Aruba for a week," I'd go, "Can you please still get your combats pretty, please?" And
Yeah.
that's kind of a
Yeah. Yeah.
dick move from me. Like you're on vacation. But for ROT, like I said this to Moonborn, he was texting me from an amusement park one day. He's like, "Hey, I'll get my combats in later." And I was like, "The fuck you will. You have two kids and a wife. Just deploy and have fun."
Yeah.
Like I don't need your combats as an individual as much as I used to. I don't think it was a bad change.
No.
I do wish that the combats were slightly more impactful.
Yeah. I think the one area that the combats they upped operations and ditched the combats in terms of like
Yes.
the value, which again, kind of in my mind, remove the skill away from TB, but I don't mind the change from an officer perspective where, especially when, like, 'cause you always have that guy on vacation or somebody's got something
Yes.
going on. And I always say, if that's you, I better see 30 fucking like operations deployments where you went in and put all your GLs and your Commander Tano and like you put every best character possible into operations if you're not going to do your combats. That's kind of my
Yeah.
mindset. Like me, when I do, I'll like preload certain planets as an officer. Well, hey, got to get these characters onto Zepho, and I'll pick all the hardest characters that nobody will deploy. And I'm like, I don't need JMK this phase. I don't need whoever, and I'll just throw them in there. Um, so I think that has ROTE has definitely made that. I don't know if you're a big Game of Thrones fan, um,
Yes.
but you remember when Robert Baratheon and Cersei are talking, and he's like, "What's the bigger number? You know, 5 or 1?" And talking about the armies of like Westeros, and he's like 5-1, and showing like one united army is better than 5. And that's kind of the way
Yeah.
I view Rise of the Empire compared to Geo, in that like Geonosis was kind of 50 people all doing their own stuff. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll put this in Rise of the Empire. It's like one guild going into do everything, get it done, and I think it's been a great change. And again, similar to the raids too. The raids are much more one unit going in there and making a difference rather than Fat Phil going in and soloing every raid possible.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about like, first of all, with TB, I think it's a better change just because like I bring it back to I'm an early riser, so it's what it's 11 o'clock at night right now, right, for both of us, and I don't know what time we're gonna get off, but I know for a fact that I'm gonna wake up at 5:45 tomorrow morning, and I'm gonna go for a run, and then I'm gonna do like brunch with Egnards as like a fun thing for the 4th of July. I'm getting up 5:45 regardless. Doesn't not matter what happens. So I think about like ROTE and TB. I got married 4.5, so almost 5 years ago, and I remember doing my LSGO battles on my wedding day because they were important. Now, for me, I was lucky because I am an early riser. My wife is a late sleeper, right? So I was able to do all of them before she was even awake. But I think about people who sleep normal hours and wake up at 7 or 8 o'clock or even 9 o'clock in the morning, like how that can be really tough during life events that are going on, or things that are going on, around them to have to get those things done. Whereas ROTE, we can afford 5 people are going on vacation, or 3 people had something going on, or 2 people like their parents are visiting and they just forgot. It's not as big a deal. It's not as stressful overall, which is nice. In terms of the raid, I do think, Great Raid, I think was really good, except for the fact it was a 3-day cadence.
Yeah. Oh,
Speeder bike raid was just this ridiculous like mod check. And I haven't done Naboo yet because my guild doesn't get tickets until tomorrow for it, but I'm hearing it's really just a relic check. So there's these two like kind of boring game modes, whereas Crate was kind of fun, but just not to do every 3 days.
yeah. I'm I'm very nervous for Naboo because I felt that the speeder bike raid to me was not a challenge. Like,
Yeah.
it did not feel like a challenge. I can't tell you why I pressed certain buttons. I just did. Like, that's what
I
got me
just
the
was told to, so I did.
yeah, like there is no thought involved, which is bad. Like, that's so bad. But the crate raid for me, there was too much RNG. Like the
Yes.
dragon ate this character. Like, especially, nothing pissed me off more when it fucking eat Boba Fett or Mando and get rid of their bounty hunter's resolve. Nothing would send me over the edge faster than watching that happen. Cause like you didn't fucking die, but oh, you lose it. Like, so you just restart right away,
Yeah.
and that was annoying. But if Naboo's a relic check, I don't really care because that's what Rise of the Empire is a relic check. So like we're used to that. We know how to handle that. Um, so I hope that there's. I
Yeah,
haven't seen a lot of footage. I hope there's more skill involved in it. That I do say I'm sure it's there. I hate the capping of the score. Nothing is like how they the max score you can get in the speeder bike raid is what 2.7 million.
yes.
Let me go over that if I'm smarter or if I'm better. Like I can't stand the capping of a score in a game mode like that. You know, like it just like
It is, yes.
I was a Call of Duty Zombies fan for the reason that the whole point was that you knew you were going to die, right? Like you knew you were going to lose, but you're going to do it anyway because it was fun.
I enjoyed, yeah, I mean, I was never a big Call of Duty fan, but I did enjoy the zombie modes, and I bought the games that had zombies on it because it was just fun to play for a few days with people around you. And it's frustrating because when you have these caps in place, you come up, like, we figure out these strategies in a day or 2 days, and then we're like, okay, we know what to do for the next 7 months. When you're uncapped, that promotes people really getting into the nitty gritty of finding the craziest way to do things, which involves spending money, which involves investing in mods, which involves really playing with your roster. Like I have heard that my Gungans with the Boomadeer Omicron and Jar Jar can auto the R9 tier. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow when it launches, just hitting auto and watching my Gungans get their 3.6 million without having to do anything, apparently, as long as my mods are good enough. It's not interesting. It's just time.
Yeah.
I need something interesting.
And I that is why I think they need to get rid of this cap nonsense. And I understand their logic that you want to limit the importance of a single person to a guild because I think they figured out how to stop the murking. You know that you'd go into a smaller guild, I go solo the Sith raid and get you
Yeah,
know first place rewards, go back to my other guild and do that multiple times. Like that was what they wanted to stop, and this has obviously done that through other means. But they've also, or they did that through like the raid locking, I guess, where you have to be in a guild for a certain period of time. But it felt like they've
yeah.
also kind of did it where we don't want one player carrying a guild in these game modes, but like just make the box a little bit larger or something. Like let us do more. Like your Relic 9 Gungans, if they score 3.6, or and Relic 9 is probably a bad example, but like if you have Relic 7 Gungans and they score 2.7 million or whatever the score is, and you have Relic 8 Gungans and they score the same as my Relic 7s, what's the point of going? Or
Well, another thing that comes down to it, the Gungans are a great example, because from what I'm hearing, and I don't, again, I don't listen to a lot and I don't watch a lot because I want to figure out things out my own. But from what I'm understanding, with the Boomadeer Omicron and without Jar Jar, those teams are still doing and maxing the scores. So with Jar Jar, they should be doing better, right? And I bought the Omicron just because for shits and giggles. I don't feel like I need it. If my team with the Omicron is going to do the same as somebody without the Omicron and also having Jar Jar, what's the point?
yeah,
You're not giving me an incentive. I already did it, I guess, so that was the incentive, but I'm the exception, not the rule when it comes to that.
yeah. I was even thinking like should have said this better earlier. Like, what's the difference between Relic 5 and Relic 6 for this raid? It doesn't
Yeah,
improve your chance to score more points. And
yeah,
I think that's part of the problem that CG has kind of created for themselves with this model of progression is that you evaluated Relic 3, Relic 5, Relic 7 much differently than 2, 4, and 6. And not that that's necessarily a horrible thing to, evaluate it that way, but you don't inset like in my mind, for me to score more points from Relic 5 to Relic 7 is a huge investment that I may not be willing to do. But
Yeah.
if Relic 6 gets me more points, maybe I will.
And stay at the Relic 5 tier. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And that's just kind of, I don't know, that's kind of my one negative with this whole new raid system has always been that they devalued certain relic tiers because if you can max out at relic 5, there's no reason to up that squad unless you're going to go for the relic 7 tier, which then you
One
need.
of my big things with this raid, well, with any raid, with Crate, with Speeder Bike, with this new one, I don't know what the time is going to take for this one. I've heard 10 to 15 minutes per run, which sounds awful to me, especially doing that
Oof.
for 7 months, even if I do it on auto. Is that the time investment is more important to me than the relic investment. You know, like relics are numbers. They're me pressing a button and I get new things. But time is something that I don't get back. Time is something that I want to spend with my loved ones. That I don't want to spend on the game, especially when I'm playing Conquest and I'm also playing TW and GAC and all these other game modes that I have to do as well and playing time on. What I always thought, and I had put this to the community a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. I don't know. Depends on when Crate came out. But basically, I understand why they have the teams the way they are. It comes down to money, right? They want you to invest relics. What I think that they should do is allow you to have a base team. So for me, let's just say Jar Jar, right? Because I have all R9 gungans. And then also putting a team behind them. So, for example, I don't have Queen Amidala or Quad May's team at R9, but let's just say I did. So I take my Gungans in, and I can put the Quad May team behind them, all R9, and I can do my Gungan run and get double the points because I'm also doing my Quad May run at the same time.
Oh, I
Right?
got you.
Like
Yeah.
that would save me 20 minutes, but I still have to invest the materials that CG wants me to invest in. Let me just do one run a week, but also invest the materials that you're forcing me to invest because you want me to spend money.
Because, oh, excuse me. Because that's definitely a big part of this game has been. I've heard a lot of players say that the time and investment now is greater than it has been ever. And I can definitely see
Yes.
that with like anytime somebody says, "Oh, they need to expand the GAC board," like I want to knock their teeth out because
Oh
it's
my God.
like please don't. Like I love GAC. I don't want to play fucking more of it. Like it's enough. And the you
Yes.
know same thing with like Rise of the Empire. There's enough battles there. Territory wars, don't get me started. Like, there's a lot already that requires us to be constantly battling. So, like, if you allowed us to kind of go into a raid and say, I'm going to go in with two Relic 5 teams for double the score and only use one of them, I wouldn't have a problem. Like, what's the difference to them?
There's no difference, right?
Yeah.
Because they're getting what they want, which is they want us to invest those materials, and we're getting what we want, which is to spend a little bit less time. And, when I talked about an hour ago where we don't understand the new player experience as much because we don't go back and make alts because we don't have time to do that. We're functioning adults that have shit to do with our lives. You have kids, I have cats. Um,
I was gonna say
the newer,
I tried the alt and it lasted like not even 2 months.
I knew, like, I was like, there's no way I'm gonna try it, and I was like, it's not gonna work, so I didn't even bother. But the newer players, because again, I see this on Reddit and I see this on the official forums, they don't understand the time commitment either, and they'll say, "Oh, I'm so excited that this new thing is gonna take 20 minutes because I play 10 minutes a day," and in my head, I'm like, just wait.
Yeah.
Just wait. It's going to get bad.
Yeah, just
Just you fucking wait.
Wait till you have three Padme nodes in a row for conquest. Like,
Oh my God. I'll send you I did a Reddit post maybe a year ago where I got like, it was like Padme, 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 Malik, Malik, Padme, Gas, Malik. And I was like, are you fucking kidding? Like, what is this?
them and the Ewoks can go to hell. Like,
Yeah.
just
Well,
the Ewok
I
nodes,
hate my friends.
and the Jawas is probably worse than Ewoks, to be fair.
I really specifically avoid Jawas, but every once in a while there's no choice and you have to go after them. I hate it every time. And I like when I say that to people, they go, "Oh, well, just use a Padme squad." And I go, like, I know that. I'm not an idiot, but it's a pain in the ass squad to face.
Yeah, like I know that my Commander Tana will leap out Scavenger. It's still the fact that I'm using Jedi Master Kenobi against Jawas.
This is why I don't use Jedi Master Kenobi in Conquest. They're my fuck you team.
Yeah, like
So like when I go up against that team that I just don't want to face, I go, "Fuck you, Jedi Master Kenobi."
yeah, yeah.
That's
You
it.
gotta have, and that's a like. It's a funny thing you say that because that's my go-to. Like, I don't use Kenobi a lot because like I just think it's very boring. But if I'm like I need a sure thing, Kenobi.
That and against like Old Republic, I'm like, screw you. I'm gonna cat leap you and just be done. Like I don't want to deal with you.
Oh,
There are some teams I do not want to deal with.
I like First Order because then Hux will just stop their turn meter and it won't matter.
I hate people love First Order. I hate First Order because of Sith Trooper. And I'll be like, oh great, I'm winning, and the Sith Trooper will delete half of my team with one AoE, and I'll go, all right, well, I guess I have to go clean that up later.
Now let me ask you this, because I need to get another beverage. But I wanted to ask you this. So we've obviously kind of, you've played for a while. You talked about like the alts and everything, and I did a video a while ago where I talked about burnout. Is there anything? I'm gonna run and grab a beverage while you talk, but I want to hear your opinion. And I'll kind of say my piece on this. The way that I've avoided burnout on my account is that I've just had to accept certain things. I kind of use the um, I don't know if you're a big Greek mythology guy, if you ever heard this podcast clip from Freddie Prinze Jr., where he's talking about Maul's character type, and that Maul is Sisyphus, that he is like meant to fail, that he is meant to push
Hmm.
that ball up the hill and fail. And so the
And just
moment
falls down.
yes, and the moment that I accepted that, I recognized how much more fun I was having in the game because it wasn't like I need to keep up with, and I'm going to use somebody from my squad arena as an example here. Like, I don't need to keep up with Mol Gugek here to have success in the game, right? That I'm not going to keep up with this guy at 14.3 million. If I can accept that, I'll be a happy guy. Like, that's been a big way I've avoided it. Is there anything you do differently that helps you avoid that kind of burnout from the game?
I'm gonna do the same thing as you after I speak. I'm gonna grab myself some rum, but before that, I think for me, what it comes down to is trying to break the game, right? Like I played very, very casually for like 2.5 to 3 years or so before I started to really get invested into it, maybe a little bit before COVID hit and before we were all sitting at home. And I found a home in the Reddit community, and now I found a home in my Discord community in trying to like really help people and figure out ways to do things that CG doesn't maybe necessarily want us to do. So when we talk about burnout, for me, like I'm bored of Conquest, I'm bored of GAC, I'm bored of TAB, I'm bored of TB, but finding ways to break all of those game modes to do it at the least effort possible has been one of the most exciting things for me, right? Like every time I can auto something, I go, all right, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And guildmates will joke at me and be like, oh, you don't want to play the game. I'm like, no, this is what makes the game fun for me. is trying to find all these stupid things that they didn't want us to do, right? Or like trying to help people on Reddit with the math, right? Like breaking things down. That's what makes the game interesting for me. And if Reddit shut down tomorrow, and if Discord like banned my server, I would stop playing like immediately. It's less about the game and it is 100% more about the community. And I do like my Tales off the Hollow tables, which is very similar to what we're doing right now. And you were on with me a few months ago. I'm very serious about this. Like, I don't care who you are. If you're in my area, I'm in the North Jersey, like New York area. Hit me up. I'll buy you a beer. Like, I just love talking to people and communicating with people, and like that's the fun of the game to me.
Oh yeah. I'm like a very I ran cross country and track all through college, so I'm an extremely competitive person, like almost to a fault. But I will always message my GAC opponents for like, hey, good game, or your team did this, your team did that, because I think that without that, number one, I want to hear from other people how my defense went. Like that's what I want back from them. But I also want to give them that feedback that hey, your team of this did nothing, or like I just beat your Jar Jar with my Inquisitors, like maybe use it on offense kind of thing. Like I give that feedback because that's what I want to hear in return. Like I can't stand when I've gone up against guys and I lose by like a point or two or something, and I'm like, "Hey man, great game. Like, what did you do to beat this?" And they don't respond, and I'm like, "God, like I
Yeah.
just tell me, was there an easy thing? Like, what did you do?" I always try to message my GAC opponents, win or loss. Definitely on the loss. I would say I'm better on the losses because sometimes I think when you win and you message, you kind of sound cocky.
Hmm.
But I was like, on a loss, I try my best to message them, be like, "Hey, good game," like your Queen Amidala team absolutely punched me in the balls, kind of thing.
Destroyed.
Because without that, like you said, it's all about just connecting the community. Like that's what you want out of it.
Yeah. So I don't know if when we talked, I don't remember if it was before or after. I think it was before, but a again, I'm pretty sure after that we did like a Reddit meetup. I put it out on the Star Wars Reddit, and I met up with like 8 guys that played the game at a local brewery, right? And we just like sat around for like 4 hours trying to not be the first person to look at our phone to do our fleet arenas because we all needed to do our fleet arenas. But we all got drunk together and just chatted about life. Like it was fun shit. And I enjoy doing that. And I've gone out with drinks with a few of those guys multiple times. And if timing works out, I know like in October I'm gonna be in your area. Like we're trying. Like I like doing that kind of shit. Um,
I'll I'll
where
lo- I'll definitely lose the look at the phone for Fleet Arena.
that was us that night, and it was funny like being the one person who has like a channel and does stuff, and people are talking to me, and I think I was like the last person to lose. But like it's cool to hear people's stories, and I think very slightly older than you. I'm gonna be 37 in a month. I My high school into college was all MMOs. It was Star Wars Galaxies, it was World of Warcraft, it was Star Wars The Old Republic. I grew up talking to people
Yeah, yeah.
on the internet, right? Like when people were saying don't talk to people, they'll like do shit to you. They'll like kidnap you. But like that was my entire growing up. So like I love connecting with people to some degree. So that's what I enjoy about this game.
I had to completely change the way I communicate in this game compared to how I used to communicate. Because playing Call of Duty, Gears of War, and Halo, it was primarily just trash talk and things
Yeah.
that if I we can say the fucking shit that we want here. The things that I said in game chat back then not only get you canceled but potentially arrested nowadays. Um, World's gone soft, game's gone, but you know, it was like that was I remember like that was my growing up experience was just like getting on Xbox Live and hearing a 12-year-old scream at you that they fucked your mom, and I'm like,
I
you
remember
know,
those days too, though. Like that was like that happened in MMOs too. Like people would say that shit, and you just come back with the stupidest shit back to them, and it was
oh,
fun to do.
but it brings, you know, it's funny because like this community, the one thing I'd actually say this community, we are probably some of the most respectful people of like like I rarely ever see shit talk on Galaxy of Heroes. You know what I mean? Like I rarely ever see somebody like my opponent is trash. Like
Yeah.
I've never had somebody reach out to me and say you're a terrible player, fuck off. Like I have never said that to anyone. Like it's always been, dude, that was so good, or you know, like oh tough loss, like you had less GP, whatever it is, right? It's never I've never had somebody actually talk trash in this game, and I think that's just this recognition that like we're all fighting against the same person, which is CG.
The man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, again, being on Reddit, there's about 100,000 people on the Reddit, so I do see sometimes people will post things with like trash talk, but I do think it's the exception, not the rule. My game name in game is Egnards. It was not always Egnards. It was my old Star Wars Galaxy, my old Star Wars Galaxy's name, which was Egnar Atop, which is similar, but not everybody makes the connection.
Yeah.
So it's not like people saw it and said, "Oh, hey, that's Egnards." I did. I'd get messages all the time that were just like, "Hey, great match," or "Hey, good luck," or like, "Hey, I'm from this place," and like, "Awesome." And like you, I do reach out to my GAC opponents and I say, "Hey, man, like, great job," or like, "Hey, like, good luck to you," or like, even at the beginning of a match, if I notice that they fucked up a team composition, I'll be like, "Hey, man, like, I don't know who's gonna win this time, but just so you know, XYZ doesn't work with Elemental P. Like, hopefully that helps you for next match."
Oh yeah.
Because like, I just want to be friendly.
I had a guy who did. I'll never forget it. It was a Star Killer team, and it was like two Dark Side Unaligned Force users instead of a Sith or whatever, or two Jedi instead of an It was not a full pure Star Killer team, so I was
Yeah,
able to get through it with far less than I should have, and I was like, obviously it can't help you now, but like
but hopefully
this
tomorrow.
yeah, but like this team doesn't work, and they were like, crap, I didn't even recognize that, or like you don't have any datacrons on your team, like because your set got deleted and you didn't go change your defense, kind of thing. Like obviously it's not going to help you this round, but hopefully I can save you two other rounds.
Yeah, and now, I mean, I've changed my name in game to Egnard so people recognize me more, and I have a pretty thriving Discord community. So like every once in a while, people be like, "Hey, I'm facing you," and I'll be like, "All right, like let's just have fun. Like I don't care. Like I literally do not care if I win. Like you're an adult, I'm an adult. Let's get silly.
Oh,
Like it's a game.
we have our plan if we ever come up against each other.
You're gonna have to dumb yourself down to K2 because
We've set the rules, so it's no leaders and boy girl boy. It's not
I
gonna be
want it to be like super crazy, man. Like it'll be a fun GAC. We'll have to do it together. Like I'm super excited to. I love doing that kind of shit because it's a game. It is supposed to be fun. Yeah, I want my resources, but when CG sets it so that we're supposed to win 50% of the time, I'm not concerned if I lose one. It
Yeah.
doesn't bother me.
I've been in a trend where I will purposefully lose a GAC just because I know that it's not worth playing. Like I come up against those guys with. I went up against the eighth largest accountants would go at one point, and
Oh
like
god.
I cleared like I think I beat two teams. You know what I mean? Like, and I just was like, there's no reason for me to play this game. Like there's
No,
no and
that's why I like turtling. Like if they attack first and I see they clear my board, I go, okay, I don't have to play this time. Great, this is lovely. I don't have to spend the hour.
Yeah, I will. When I was traveling in the UK, I came up against a guy, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing a Bane." I was doing like a Bane battle. I called it my Bane battle. I'd do the Bane versus Ray, and just fucking move on. Like, just
Yeah,
grab my banners and leave. But
it's it is what it is.
and maybe that kind of we could lead into something here and kind of like maybe conclude on it. Do you think that the way to maybe fix a game mode like Territory Wars and Grand Arena even would be to like so they did the whole Grand Arena change with kind of pushing everybody into Kyber.
Yeah,
Do you think the next change for Grand Arena should be adding kind of like a ranked kind of game mode? Where you go in and it's for the potential to earn better rewards than non ranked, but it's better competition. Kind of like if you remember, do you ever play like the like Call of Duty like wager matches where they had like
I know
the
what you're talking about because we're talking. I mean, I played Call of Duty and I again I never played it competitively, but it's basically like you think about like MOBAs, right? Like League of Legends or anything
yes,
where you have a ranked mode versus an unranked mode. I think fundamentally GAC is a ranked mode, right? Like it's always going to be a ranked mode because you're always getting ranked against other players. The answer to GAC, I don't have an answer to GAC, but for TW, I think that, and again, like you, I only played Marvel Strike Force for a very short amount of time, and I've heard other people talk about it, and it sounds like they have a better system for like territory wars, or what we would consider territory wars. The problem with territory wars in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes is that every guild ever sets one wall of this GL, then one wall of next GL, then one wall of next GL. And there's only ever one or two counters to these walls. So as a player, I have to do my battles, then I have to wait. And I
yeah,
have to wait and I have to wait and I have to wait until my guild does it. And then I have to basically be on call for 24 hours.
yeah,
And there needs to be a system where I can do all of my battles on my own time, right? Or like me as a person, I'm doing my battles against one specific person in that guild. So I can do all of my battles and I don't have to wait for the rest of my guild.
yeah. Marvel Strike Force, they have you're on like the aircraft carrier flyer thing that they whatever bullshit they have, and every person would get assigned like a room, and in
Yeah,
that room you would put 10 squads. And so the idea was, and I what I liked about that was I want to give them credit for because I thought it was awesome is that if I went down and joined a 100 million power guild, I could win us every fucking territory war by just 4 GLs on this wall, 4 GLs on this wall, and then, Riva and whatever else, like just throw that stuff in and I'm done.
yeah.
But you think if I can only put 10 teams down in a single position, I don't you the impact that my defensive place has is
It's
far
lesser as
smaller.
a single person.
And there was energy for attacks. So on not only were you limited offensively, but you were limited defensively. And I think that kind of contributed to that, you know, one is greater than 50 kind of thing. And obviously alliances are smaller. Marvel Strike Force, it's 24 compared to 50. But I think you're kind of onto it that like with territory wars, that you just need to limit the ability of either like you need to spread it out so that way player one puts all their characters here, player two, so on and so forth. And so, hey, player one has Ray, JMK, and then it gets progressively worse. So you could use your Night Sisters on one of those teams
Yeah.
potentially. And that way, the whole guild isn't waiting on you to use,
Your stuff.
yeah. Like I remember, like our guild is like you got to get 2 attacks in at this point so we can clear these walls, and then you wake up to like 50 tags because you go to sleep.
Yeah, and I'm like, I got shit to do, you know? Like on the weekends, my wife and I we like to go to movies. Like I don't have time to do that at that time. And I think that the way that TW works is not it's not conducive to people that have jobs or lives or things outside of the game. And that's not a knock to the players. I think it's a knock to the company to design it in that way where they feel that way about us as players. My original thought, and this was going back years before I was even really a major Reddit content creator, was that I would like to see walls where you could only have two or three of the same leader in a single wall, right? So like you could have like three Papa Palps as a leader in a wall, regardless of the team, and then you'd have to do something else, just so that it broke shit up and made things interesting. Because it's not the game mode isn't interesting as it is. It's like, oh great, there's 50 fucking Revas, like wonderful, like this is great, and then behind that is 50 Rays, beautiful, love it.
I So for territory war, my thought is all you need to do is get away from the ability to go in with less than your full guild. Because think about it, and I think I said this like at the beginning of this that my guild can go in with 35 players
Yeah,
and we'll face a guild that has similar GP to us 35. So, oh, well, it's 50 versus 35, but those 50 is the equivalent of,
much smaller accounts.
yeah, like that. Oh, well, a full high school team is not going to beat, you know, 22 guys from the Philadelphia Eagles. Like it's not happening. Doesn't matter how many of you there are. We're bigger, faster, stronger, and, smarter, if you will. Like I think that's kind of the problem with territory wars is you can manipulate it to your advantage. That
I think the only problem with that is when we talk about like people having lives and things going on, is that when you join a territory war, so let's say that they compulsory join the entire guild. As a player, if I'm gone for 24 hours, I completely devastate my guild. I do understand the other side of it, where like if you are like we just had this too. We do not intentionally sandbag.
yeah,
We tell people, hey, join. We join TW, join TW, join TW. But this last TW, we were coming off of 2 losses. Only 38 joined. We were against a guild that was 100 million less than us. Like, it was a cupcake war. It was super easy. Like, it
yeah,
wasn't that difficult to do. I feel bad for the other guild
yeah,
because we're
yep.
at 570 and they're at like 450, right? Like, that's a huge difference. But I do think there's a problem, especially like in the summers. People go away for the summer, or people do this for the summer. When four people aren't placing teams because of a 24-hour issue, it, it also becomes a problem. And I don't have an answer to that.
So
But I do think making the game one more compelling will make people more likely to join.
what Marvel Strike Force allowed you to do was what GAC does, where you can go in and preset your defense because
Beautiful. I love it.
you would have a
I love it.
preset you have a preset Egnard zone, a preset Fat Fill zone. So like you get assigned, zone 1A, zone 1B, whatever it is, right? That you'd have 50 different zones through that, territory war map. And so your idea, if I'm going to try and share our last, we got smoked this last territory war by a larger guild. But the idea would be, you know, fill in Egnards here and, somebody else here. And then what you could do is put like, oh, we're going to throw weaker accounts maybe here and then stronger here. Like there was all these different strategies to it. But the idea being, I have everybody's defense set regardless of if they've joined or not. And so,
I don't hate that. One of the least favorite things about TW. How many zones are there? There's 4, 8. There's 10 zones. I hate placing teams,
and
especially with datacrons. I hate it.
and and then of course, like, for me, like, it's just always something funny that comes up. Like, my guild, they'll be like, "Hey Phil, we want you to place like this Star Killer team," and I'm like, I don't have Jahani, so like that's just a waste. And so I try to wait around and be like, "Hey, what the fuck can I place that actually helps us?" But if you could go in and, I'm gonna go into my GAC now because I think it's attack phase, which I think this round I'm just gonna forfeit anyway. But like, I can go in and change my GAC defense, even though I never do. I can go preset this for the whole season, and it never
Yeah.
changes. I think that would be awesome for territory war. If they would implement something like this, everything gets easier. Because then, like, imagine you're a guild officer, and I can go in to a zone and check, hey, you know, Egnards, you set, you know, Leviathan with Empire ships. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, that you could at least give somebody forewarning that they did something wrong. I think that would be great for. That's how I would fix
I would
territory
not
wars.
hate it if they had preset. That would make my life so much easier. Again, that's my least favorite part about TW, especially post datacrons, because when you think about it, and I know this sounds stupid, but datacrons is an extra 3 clicks per team. So that's 30 extra clicks over
Yes.
TW setting, and you're like 30 clicks, that takes 10 seconds, but it doesn't because you have to load in, you have to like pop out, you have to do this whole thing. Like it just is it's clunky to do.
I'm doing it. I don't know if you can see, like, right now I'm just building a team just for the sake of building it. But I gotta go in here,
Yeah,
click
and they have another datacron.
Datacron.
You have to like click around because if it's not a level 9 datacron, you have to like find it because there's no way to like figure out what each datacron is if it's not a level 9. And
The
then
only
you set it.
the only thing that's nice is it will like highlight the character that it can apply to, right? That it'll say, "Oh, like you have Padme, so she like." I don't know if you can see the little
She's in that
gold,
squad.
but like if I did this for example, because I know I have, is it his or if you have two characters, it'll highlight two datacrons. So
Yeah.
then you're like, fuck, which one do I like? Which one do I pick? And it just, it's that, like you said, it's that those extra clicks you have to go through to make sure that you're picking the right one. Which presetting would save us all of that time.
I'm pro that. You're hired, man.
And again, it doesn't make them money, which is part of the problem. But like that would make life so awesome. And honestly, I actually think it would make them money because I always think of how can I make them money. That's why they should hire me. But um, like you imagine that you now go to a guild, go to a player and you're like, hey, you only get to set 5 teams on, 10 teams on defense. No matter if you're 14 million or 10 million, you are stuck to 10 teams. And so that 14 million player is going to want to find a guild of other 14 million players. And so
Yeah.
now you no longer have those accounts kind of quote unquote carrying a guild to success. Um,
The
Again,
other
I
thing
don't.
to that though, and this is not against your point. It's actually kind of furthering your point. Is you have your whales that are going to spend no matter what.
Yep.
But then you have players like me who want to spend. And the more I feel like my time is wasted, the less I'm going to spend. I would have my spending amounts to about $10 to $11 a month. I would have no problem spending $20 to $30 a month if I felt like my time was respected, right? And it's when you shore up these things to make me feel like my time is being respected to where my position towards the game is more positive. And when my position is more positive, I go, yeah, all right, I'll buy that stupid Lightspeed bundle.
Yeah.
And as an 11.8 million GP player, I don't need the Lightspeed bundle. But sometimes I go, oh, it'll save me 400 Kyrotech. Okay, sure, cool.
It's funny you said Kyrotech. I looked at it as signal data, but I know that feeling. Like I'm not looking at things and just doesn't save me time. And that,
Yeah.
you know, I think that makes a lot of sense too when you said like the happier you are, the more likely you are to spend. Because we kind of touched on it earlier that like when Meathead first came into the game, he was very tone deaf to how pissed off we all were, and I think now like I do think we're in a much better place. Like I think the
Yes.
people who spend money are happy, even though the road ahead fiasco bullshit of all the fucking posts that we had to read. I'm happy with the way the game is trending. That they're releasing new content and content like Ahsoka where it's far enough in advance that they're planning ahead. Like those are all good signs, and that makes me want to spend more when those Lightspeed bundles come around. I'm not going to spend on the stupid packs, but you're going to sell me a Lightspeed bundle for a couple bucks. I'm game.
Yeah, the higher your happiness is, the more that you are willing to spend. And again, you're gonna have your whales that'll spend either way, and that's fine too. But if you're trying to capture the more casual market, which they're clearly trying to do with the marquees and with the Lightspeed bundles and with these lower like ascension packs that are $1, $2, $5 total, you want a player base that feels like they're on your side.
Yep. And to kind of think through that, like the marquee whole fucking thing. Do you remember how with the gungans they gave you enough shards where you only had to purchase two of the gamble packs, and then
Yes.
with Padawan Obi-Wan and Master Qui-Gon, they changed it to three.
Yes.
That was I mean, to me, I was pissed, but do you think that that was them kind of testing the waters a little bit to see?
I think they were. They were testing the waters. It didn't actually bother me. I mean, I was annoyed a little bit because I was like, oh, I will buy these every time. And now I'm like, no, I won't. But what it came down to is there was a lot of discussion from the players that were like, wait a second, there is literally no reason not to buy these two packs. Right now, making it three packs, it becomes a little bit of a do I, don't I thing. And from a business perspective, that could go either way, I think. Basically, what I'm saying is that it when you only did two packs, it kind of blurred the lines between shipment farming versus marquee farming. Now that it's three packs, it does kind of make it more of a step,
Yeah,
which makes sense instead of them both being pretty much exactly the same.
like I bought them and like depleted my crystals, but I definitely think I'll be curious to see the cadence of the releases for these new characters because like I like the Gungans felt like it was one after the other after the other. I don't know if you felt that way as well, but like
Well, I
Qui
did a
Gon,
whole thing in Excel and I tracked all of the events back to Lord Vader to determine the best practices and the averages. I know it sounds insane, but I am the Jar Jar guy, justice for Jar Jar. I had to do it. And it was basically once every 2 to 3 weeks. I think it was 2 weeks for a lot of them, 3 weeks for like one of them. Um, I made sure I was ready for that stuff when it came to those weeks, and I think we're gonna see the same thing with Ahsoka. The only thing that kind of remains to be seen is whether it's going to be like two Ahsoka marquees and then two Balin Skull marquees, or is it going to be all Ahsoka then all Balin? Like what's going on there? And I don't know what the right answer is.
yeah, that because they announced what 3 marquee units, and then the Great
Well, they technically
Mothers.
announced five, sort of, right? Because they announced the three for that are assuming for Ahsoka, which is the Death Trooper, the Paraday whatever trooper, and someone else. I don't. I mean, I have it
Captain
close to my screen.
Captain Enoch,
Uh,
the Death
Captain
Trooper.
Enoch is the third one, and then they announced Morgan Elsbeth and Great Mothers, right? So technically, there's five: the Night Trooper, the Death Trooper, and then and whatever else. Um, and I think three of them are going to be for Ahsoka, and two of them are going to be for Baylan Skoll, and we're going to probably get Baylan Skoll's friend, girl, whatever her name was. I don't
Shin.
remember.
Wasn't it Shin?
Sure, that
Call her,
sounds
call her,
that
she was
sounds right.
Shin Guard.
I'm going to use that, but that sounds right.
But yeah, like, it definitely was like, you know, I mean, I was surprised it was only 3 marquee units, but it is a lot of, like, the less marquees, the better, because it's a lot of crystals. It's like 5,000 crystals, right? No, the gamble packs are what, 1,300 or something?
They're 12.99, so you're looking at 4,500 13 12.99 13 26 39, so about 4,000 crystals per marquee. I honestly, I don't, when we talk about like Leia, we talk about Jabba, we talk about Lord Vader and JMK. I've never been somebody to get somebody first run. I did it with Jar Jar because that was always my thing. When it comes to Ahsoka, I'm going to not necessarily slow farm them, but I am going to come up with the best way to not buy their packs and get them, and I'll get her within a month or two,
Nice. Yeah,
and I'll be okay with it.
I'm trying to think of. It depends on what the rest of her requirements are for me.
I'll have those. Those I'm not too worried about. I think it's going to be four marquees. We have three of them. I think it's going to be four, and that's the reason they split it into four sections. Um, at least that's the way that I see it. But I'm in a huge Zeta deficit right now, just because I'm on a quest to Zeta every single shitty Zeta in the game. So I'm in a deficit right now, and I'm not too worried about getting her as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I'm in a. The Zeta deficit's funny you mention that, because there's a lot of players who are in Zeta deficits because of the light speed bundles. Because, like, the light speed bundles pushed the timeline of your account ahead in terms of relics, in terms of gear, character shards, but did nothing for your mods or your Zetas, which are and Omegas, which is
Yeah.
obviously something. All of those are time walled. In that there's not even just a paywall associated with them, but just the amount of time you play this game. Um, but I do think that in the coming, like, they did do a good job, I think, with the Gungans, that a lot of them only had a single Zeta. And
Yes.
I think that if the trend of that continues, you should probably see your Zeta shortage shrinking
So
because.
I did this actually a few months ago. Not maybe a month ago. I actually tracked the Zeta income for a player about our level versus the Zeta deficit that you can expect, and we're actually in a Zeta surplus as a veteran player.
Yeah.
My Zeta deficit is completely self-imposed because I had 300 Zetas, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to get every shitty Zeta in this game.
Oh, God.
So I'm very close to having every Zeta, but I also only have 40 Zeta materials because of it.
Yeah, I've got. I think I have a little bit over 70 now. But yeah, I get like. I feel like I did that math and I was closer to 100 Zetas than not every single month. From challenges to assault battles to events, conquest, all that garbage.
You should be in a surplus, and I feel like I'm in a surplus now. I just have less than I'm used to, and I think I have 39 Zetas left in the game, and they're all crappy. They're all shitty ones, but I'm doing it because that's what's, we talk about burnout. That's what's fun to me is let me try to max out this thing.
So if we can end on this, let me ask you this: what do you think will be your next, like, call it passion project to avoid burnout? Is there something on your list that you're like, I'm gonna do this simply because I want to?
I mean that's a two-part question because my passion project was obviously Jar Jar, right? And like Jar Jar was something that it didn't come out of nowhere. It's the anniversary for Phantom Menace, but we didn't know it was coming until it came. Um, my passion project as my next Jar Jar is Clone 99. So that isn't in the game, but I'm gonna fight tooth and nail to get Clone 99 in the game. But my
Ooh.
passion project right now, in terms of like what's readily available, I very recently got my entire roster to G12. So my entire roster is G12 except for the Lover Boys because they're not 7-star yet. I
Yep.
really am trying to get every character to Relic Zero by the end of the year. And it seems like there's so many characters that I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm really trying to just Relic shit up randomly to see that happen.
That'd be awesome, actually. I don't
Yeah,
hate that.
I'm close, I'm getting there, but I think it because of all of the marquees, it's gonna be
Oh,
pretty a longer journey than I expect.
the marquees can't count though, especially all the like the new ones this year because like I mean Obi-Wan what just went farmable, so I
No,
can't.
I mean, when we talk about the marquees, it's not so much that the marquees count, but it matters that they're important, right? So, like, I
Yeah.
have to get them. And I'm like, oh, I do have to spend my resources on them because they're important to something. So then other things get a back burner. And although my entire roster is G12 now, other than that, I have about 50 characters to get to our relics. And that's going to be the tougher part when I have to leverage all these new characters and get these new characters up as well.
Oh, dude, I feel you. I'm looking at mine right now and just getting sadder by the minute.
I was looking at your roster before and I was like, oh my God, just use your core gear, man.
Oh, dude, yeah, yeah. Core Gear's a it exists. It does exist.
Just do it. Your guild will love you for Rise of the Empire.
I already I grew 100 over 100 almost 200,000 GP this TB thanks to gungans and the Lightspeed bundle. I'm above my quota. but
Oh,
but no, man, I think I mean I hope people enjoy this. I thought this was good. I think I think it's exactly what I would anticipate from you and I in that, like, we talked about this stuff, but we really just want to talk about kind of the game and what's driving us, what's happening outside of even this road ahead. Like, I think your rewriting the road ahead was brilliant, but I think just kind of hearing the way we see certain things is going to be very important for people. So, do you have any last thoughts for the community at large? What's kind of your closing remarks?
no, I think that a lot of people think that I'm very negative on. Actually, let me change that. I just started saying that. One of the things, and I said this to somebody really recently, is being prolific on Reddit. Every other week, somebody either calls me a whiner or they call me a CG apologist. So it's kind of like I get the both sides and I hear both. Um, and that makes me kind of feel like, hey, maybe my opinion is valid because you don't know which side I stand on, right? I am pretty up on CG right now, and other than my personal upsetness with them, I'm generally happy with what they've done, and I'm a little confused by this news cycle, and I really hope they get that together. But I think as a player base, like we've got great content creators, we've got great people in the community, we got a lot of people that are very helpful. Um, we're all in this together as players, and I think the one reason why I love doing things like this, like with you or like when I do tales on my own, or I go on to other things, or you go on to other things, is kind of just remembering the humanity behind the game. That there are people behind the computers, and that we all have jobs and we have lives and we have these things going on, and how cool it is that we can kind of connect in this way.
Absolutely, man. I love it. This is, I mean, I think you, for those of you who think like, oh, this is only the second time that like we've talked, like we are on Discord pretty frequently about something. We've been trying to get this
Constantly.
together, and it's been my fault because, well, life just sucks. But we did. If anybody's still watching, you guys have to comment this. So, but we did sign off on our audit today, so that's like finally done. Thank God. That was what took up all of my time during the day was just doing audit stuff. Um, but yeah, man, I want to continue this series, so we'll have to come up with topics for next week because I want to make this a regular thing as much as we can. Um,
You let me know, dude, and I will beg my wife.
I I'll have to beg mine too. Tell her Amazon budget's going up.
Okay, sounds good.
No, appreciate it, man. We'll keep in touch, guys. Thank you all for joining us. Hopefully, you get something out of this video. Again, just trying to have a good time. Drink as much soda as we can. It's an excuse for me. So appreciate it. We love you both. May the force be with you, and we will see you all in the next video. Cheers, our friends.